Um,
Hey, brother.
good. Go ahead.
When you land, I'm probably going to shut down the room.
Most definitely.
They got a room that seems kind of interesting. I mean, y'all can keep it going if you want, but I'm probably going to go to this room called the New Testament of the Bible. Is it true? Yes or no? Have y'all peeked in on that yet with Divine and them over there with that new guy?
Nah, I
The
haven't.
new
Nah.
guy's name is yeah, he's been having rooms like this other guy and
Who was that, Strawy?
like
Hey, yeah, Eliyahu, do your thing, man. I think I made the point. Go ahead.
all right, yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't know, Vinny. It's I can't go over there right now, but matter of fact, let me see here. Keep on bringing out what you're bringing out, brother. I'll just go over and peek. You keep on bringing what
No
you're bringing out
problem.
some good stuff.
Yeah, no problem. Look at what Paul's doing. Look,
Look, look what he's doing. Okay, now look at this. In Malachi 2, verses 15, after we read, God's witness between you and your wife of your youth. So he's telling you to go back to the wife of your youth, right? To whom you have been faithless. So we've been faithless to this wife. She is your companion and your wife by covenant. She's our wife by law, in another sense, law of marriage. Paul widely says law of marriage instead of covenant, but here's his covenant. Did he not make them one with a portion of the Spirit in their union? So the reason why they're one is because of the Spirit they have. Look what Paul says. Look, Romans 7, verses 6. But now we are released from the law, having died to which held us captive, so that we serve in the new way of the Spirit and not in the old way of the written code. See, Paul's telling us to be one in the same Spirit, in union, just like Malachi chapter 2 is teaching us. Paul is saying that we should be married to another woman. We should be under another woman, the law of marriage. We should be under that. But it should be with the unison of the one Spirit, not in the old way, not in the way where we're persecuted because we don't keep the law. This is what Paul's doing here. He's saying, look, you die, that woman that you used to be connected to, you're no longer with that woman, no longer in that covenant. You're no longer in the law of marriage, which holds you bound to her. Go back to the one that was the youth of your companion. And that's what he's saying. That's why I couple Malachi 2 and Romans 7 together like that. But yeah, that's the whole point. And people don't see it like that. People think, God renewed it. Renewed covenant. We don't have to keep the laws. Uh, Bro, what? Nah, man, he's telling you don't have to keep the laws of the one you was accompanied to, the one you was in communion with, the one you was united with. But now you've been ununited with this one. Unite yourselves with the unite yourself with the one that you're meant to be united with. Don't keep the law in which you was in unity with, but keep the law in which you should be in unity with. See, people are not getting it yet. Law of sin and death, law of spirit and life. People are not getting it yet. When you're married to that woman that you shouldn't be married to, guess what? You're under the law of sin and death. You in union with something that you shouldn't be in union with. You ain't in union with the spirit. You're in union with the written code. So he makes contrast with it. The written code condemns you. That's what it does. But yeah, I'm done. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to bring out on that point right there.
You know what goes into that even deeper is what you're saying and backs you up is that Romans 6 and Romans 7. You know, when Paul is talking about having to die, you know, hold on, let me read a little bit of it. This is Romans 6:11. It says, likewise, reckon ye yourselves also to be dead indeed into sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal bodies, that ye should obey in the lusts of thereof. Who do you obey? You obey your head, right? You obey your husband, right? That's who they was married. That's who they was obeying. They made sin their head, you know. Like what you were saying. Neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto God as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto God. See, and this is when people misquote that verse that Paul says, where he says, when the law came, I died, right? They're equating that death to be something bad. Can you believe that? They're equating that death to be something bad, but that's not what he's saying. He's not saying that the law is what killed him. He said that when the law came, he started listening to it, and then he killed off that old man that was separating him from God. You know, and it's just crazy, man, right? But this says, "For sin shall not have dominion over you." Who has dominion over a person? Their master, their lord, their husband, you know, or their God, right? For ye are not under the law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid. Know ye not that whom ye yield your servants, know ye not that whom ye yield yourselves um, servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether sin unto death, like what you were saying, or obedience unto righteousness. But God be thanked that you were servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered to you. Being then made free from sin. How did you be made free from sin? You had to kill sin, and death had to die, right? Ain't that what the Messiah was said to be having to come do? I think Eliyahu was bringing that out the other day. You had sin and death must die because that's who you were under covenant with, right? If the sin dies, your old husband, then you are free to be married to somebody else, right? Being then made free from sin, ye became servants of righteousness. I speak after manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as ye that mean, what is he saying? I got to speak to you with milk, right? For as ye have yielded your members servants to uncleanliness and iniquity unto iniquity, even so now yield yourself members servants to righteousness unto holiness. For when you were servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. You see that? That's what Paul was referring to. When you were servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. That means you were free. He said that in another place, and people just run wild with it. Oh my gosh, when you were free from the law. Oh wow, But that's misusing the text and not taking everything into consideration, right? Verse 21 says, "What fruit had ye then in those things whereof ye are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now being made free from sin and become servants to God, ye have your fruit unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord." And Romans 7, expounds on it. But it's a trip how we're not seeing this stuff. Like even in the beginning in Genesis, when he was talking to Cain after he killed Abel. He says sin it wants to have dominion over you. It wants to rule over you, but you shall rule over it. You know. So what is he saying? He's saying sin wants to be your head, but if you let sin be your head, then guess what? You're going to be committing all kind of foolishness and acts of violence and acts of dumb stuff, right? And it's funny because Christ had that same conversation with Paul, right? Right before he got put to death. What he do? What he tell Paul? He said, "Be careful, because sin wants to have a hold of, or the devil wants to have a hold of you." You know, I have to get that because I know I'm butchered. I don't want to repeat it anymore, but hopefully y'all know what text I'm talking about. But it all depends on who you set your head. Who's your head? Laws of sin, and the laws of that's the whole question that we got to ask ourselves. And these people, it's going to be hard for them to understand. Why? Because I believe that they've held on to something so long, and they've lifted up these false teachers, and they got these guys, so high up on a pedestal that whatever you tell them or whatever you try to show them, it's just going to be hard for them to see. We see the evidence of that when y'all go into these rooms and start conversing with these people. Why? Because they have already their seal, their sin is sealed upon them, is iron upon them. You know, they've been engraved, they've been embroidered by sin. So now it's going to be hard for them to shake that, and then go to the commands of God, because now they think that the commands of God is an unholy thing, and that's a shame.
Hey, imagine being married. Imagine you get married. You're at the altar. You just put the ring on the woman's finger, man. Hey, but the whole time she was wearing something over her face called a veil. Hey, you take the veil off to go kiss her, and you're like, hold on, this ain't the woman I.
It's a pig.
Hey, it weren't the woman I was meant to marry. What's going on? Like, what's going on? I want what you look done. I ain't meant to marry this woman. You've already said the vows. She's already signed the ketubah. You've already signed the ketubah too. You're like, damn. Hey, come on. Sort of like Jacob's story. Jacob wanted what was it, Leah, but he got Rachel instead. So then he had to go back for Leah. It's kind of like that situation. Imagine, man. Hey, just imagine that. I, that's real. That's some real big stuff. Sorry about the noise. Hold on. That's some real big stuff. Imagine you got married to someone that you weren't meant to get married to, and then you there for the. Imagine. No, hold on. Pause. Let me make this a bit more understandable. Imagine you got married to someone you weren't meant to get married to, and for let's say 30 years. Let's say you were blind. The 30 years you was you was married to this woman, following her. You're blind. You can't see, so you gotta just. You thought this was the woman. Turns out 30 years later, you get your eyes healed. This ain't the woman you was meant to marry. What's going on? And you find out the woman you was meant to marry, she's just down the road waiting for you. She's just down the road waiting for you. You just got healed. But the only thing you got to do is you got to put this woman away. You got to put this woman that you got married to away. But that woman said you can't be put away because we married. There's a law behind this, and you there's a law behind this, and you're doing the things that we've written in this ketubah, and the things that she's asked you to do, it leads to sin and death. Imagine the things she's asking you to do is like, yeah, I want you to eat pork. We got to go out every Sabbath day, and this is what the woman's doing. The whole time you didn't know. You blind. Remember, you blind. You didn't know. She's she's telling you, yeah, we're going out for dinner, and it's on the Sabbath day. She got you spending all this money, but you just now you're not blind anymore. Just imagine it. I hope people are imagining this. I really do. Now you're not blind. You're like, damn, what the hell? What's going on? Hey, the only way you getting away from that, if you die. So that woman, she can be married to another, and you can be married to another. That's the only thing you can do. You gotta die. You gotta put that away. You gotta cease, and you gotta be married to another. And then now imagine this is you. Imagine it really wasn't a wife. This is an analogy that I'm giving, so you can understand this. Imagine this is you now, the wife, the wife of your bosom. I'm gonna say that's the desires. That's your own desires. It's not really a wife. It's your own desires. And then who you actually are, the one that was blind. That's the mind of the man. The mind of the man is you. That's the one that was blind. Imagine how much harder it is to kill that one that you were assigned to kill the desires of the flesh. Or how much more is it, I'll put it in a different way. Let's not say the woman died, because the woman don't die according to Paul. According to Paul, it's the man that dies. Hey, imagine the one that was blind, that brain, the way you thinking. Hey, how much more you gotta die? You gotta die to all of that. Why you gotta die to all of that? Because you were thinking this was the right woman. You thought you signed that contract. She put all the right stipulations in it, and it turns out there ain't the stipulations that are in there ain't right. Like I said, you're going for dinners on the Sabbath day, and don't get it twisted. You can have a dinner on the Sabbath day. I just want to make that clear. But you going out to buy on the Sabbath day to have a dinner. You know, that brain of yours, it was blind. The desires weren't blind. Your brain was blind. Your brain is the one that now has to die to those desires. And just imagine how much more difficult that is. That's why Paul says, "Oh wretched man that I am." He talks about how he has two laws in him: the laws of his members, which is his desires. That's the outward body, and how that has to die. But there's a law in his mind, that wants to do the will of the Most High. It delights in the law of God. That's what he says. Just really, really, really imagine what Paul's teaching here. Because I think he's taking a real, real big step forward. Because you see, when he talks about that body, that's committing sin, but his mind is steadfast on the law of God. Hey, that body is just like, it's just like the analogy that it makes with Jesus' body. Jesus is the head, he has a body, the body is the members, and those members are the members of the church. Just think about all in this covenant, yeah. And I know I'm being long-winded. In this covenant that you've made with this woman when you was blind, and this woman ain't actually the woman you was meant to marry, and she's put all of this corruption, your ketubah. Hey, you've got kids, you got family, you got friends by being with this woman. They're a part of your body too. You gotta die to all of them. Just imagine how difficult it is, man. Just imagine how difficult it is. Why is it difficult? Because you don't believe. People don't believe. Why you think most of these people on this app, they argue all day, all night, because they don't believe in the thing that they say they believe in. I really believe that to my heart. When people sit on this app arguing 24/7 about some stupid stuff, it's really because they don't believe in what they believe in. They're trying to be, the reason why they come on this app is because they want to be disproven about what they believe in so they can go on to something else and believe in that. And I guarantee that's probably going to be wrong as well, because you on this app. They're the ones, you see the people on these apps going around and doing what they're doing, that are trying to find, they're in the wilderness still, they're trying to find their way. Actually, no, they're not even in the wilderness. I take that back. They're not even in the wilderness yet. They're still in Egypt. They're still in Egypt with all these different types of doctrines, all these different types of follies, and they're just trying to pick which one they suit best. You know, they ain't even took the first step. You see, they ain't heard Moses yet, or should I say Jesus? They ain't heard Jesus yet. They're the ones in the towns, in the city centers, listening to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, "Yo, if you lot stop, hey, you lot want to go? Oh, you can't go. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to make the brick by yourself. Get some straw. You find the straw. You find that water. You find that clay. You better make them bricks yourself." See, now now they're busy trying to construct their own god. They're making their own god. They're making their own god. Seriously, they're making their own God. Because
Yeah, that's what it is, man. They make their own God. It comes from their imagination, you know, and that's exactly what God told them not to do. Especially when you're dealing with the first commandment. It's what is the first commandment? It says, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me or over me." You
then what did
know,
they go and do? They went
and
and
they
got.
did exactly the same thing, the thing they told them not to do.
Yeah, man. They went and made the golden calf and said, "Yeah, this was the God that brought us out of Egypt." You see what I'm saying? Like people, hey, and those people they were in the wilderness. Don't get it twisted physically, but them people mentally they weren't in the wilderness. Mentally, they were still blind. Mentally, they were still with that wife that made that corrupted marriage contract. Mentally, they were that wife that told them, "Yo, it ain't a Sabbath day. Let's go and have a meal out." That's the wife they're with. You know, I'm sorry for making so much analogies, but I think it's really important. But look, the last analogy I want to make is about them building. Moses comes in, he says, "Yo, I want." Oh snap! I can't see. Look, I'm doing stuff wrong at work. Um, yeah, Moses comes in, he tells them, "Look, let my people go." People are happy. Yo, we're finally about to go. Yay! Then Pharaoh turns around and says, "What? You ain't going nowhere. Go and find those bricks. Go and you was making before before I'm making you make the bricks yourself." And then they go and make their own god. How did they make their own god? Because they followed the rules of Pharaoh. They followed the contract that Pharaoh made. You know, they made themselves they you make yourself a fool when you do that, right? um and the reason why I say you're making yourself, like, you make yourself a god is because you're following someone's instructions they're not helping you. They're keeping you in the flesh. Like Eliyahu was saying this yesterday, not yesterday, a couple of days ago, I'm pretty sure it was. He was saying these people, when they was told to and you could correct me if I'm quoting you wrong, Eliyahu. You know, these people, when they was being told to get these bricks, this was so they can be distracted. They can have their minds on the world, and now they can't see what God's actually given them. You know. Oh, that was the idea that I was getting from what Eliyahu was saying. I know that's not exactly what Eliyahu said, but yeah, it's quite interesting when you look at it like that. Because if it was a distraction, it was a very damn good distraction. I'll be real, and that's what these people are doing in Egypt today. These Professor Max, these OJs, these all of them, they in Egypt right now fighting over, hey, should we make the brick or should we make the brick, or like, do we go with Moses? Do we go with Jesus? Because I'll be real, look, Jesus didn't say nothing about nature and this and that. This is why I said earlier, uh, you can't even count the sand of the sea. You can't count the sand of the sea. You can't count the stars in the sky. So how in the hell you gonna tell me about God's nature? Please, please leave me out of it. How in the hell you gonna tell me about God's nature? You can tell me about the Egyptians' God's nature. You can tell me about how the Egyptians have a god of frogs, and then frogs started leaping out of that river, and the river Nile. You could tell me about that. You could tell me how you could tell me how what's the other one? You get the gist anyway. You get the gist.
They had so many gods, man. You could just spin the wheel and just pick one.
Pick one, yeah. But there's a real reason behind why God was doing those things to those in that specific order, in that specific way. Like people, you know, them frogs frogs represent the god of fertility in Egypt. Most High killing them frogs off. He's showing the peoples, yo, look, I got the power over fertility, man. What are you lot talking about? Why are you still following these people? These people told you about a god that's the god of fertility, but hey, I just killed all the fertile, man. Get the frogs out of the river. What you still want to make them bricks? After I told these people let you lot go, and they told you to make more bricks. Are you still making more bricks, Israel? Why are you still making more bricks? That's what we should be asking people. Why are you still making more religions? Why? Like, what's the point? Wasn't it given to us? Like, I really wonder these things. I'll be real. I really look at these things. I say, yo, wasn't it given to us? Like, everything we need. What ain't it here? I'm pretty sure it's here already.
Yeah, yeah. That's a so trip because they, them dudes, man. I mean, you seen all the miracles that happen, and then you go off and you make them make that golden calf, man. That's crazy.
Hey, because they believed Pharaoh. When Pharaoh said, yo, you gotta make the bricks yourself and you gotta build, and you still gotta build the same amount, they believed him. They believed him, and they believed the power behind him. And, because they believed him, they said to Moses, look, what you done? You just made us come out of Egypt to starve us and kill us. This
Ain't
God
that
that you
crazy?
you see what I'm saying? This is why I say people are still in Egypt. They're still in Egypt. And what's crazy? I look at Christianity is funny to me. Christianity, yeah. When you look at Christianity, yeah, and you look at all these different denominations and all these different theologies, they're all Christians. And what's so funny about it? That's literally Egypt. Egypt with their many gods. You just look at it. Look, Egypt with their many gods. That's what Christianity. That's what modern day Christianity is. It's Egypt with their gods. How many different versions of the Trinity? Oh, social Trinitarianism. What is it? Monarchical Trinitarianism. I forgot the last one. You got modalism, oneness. You got different types of these things, different theologies. Man, it's just Egypt. It's Egypt in a different way. This is why in Revelations it says the plagues of Egypt will come upon the beast. Man, because the beast really is a resemblance of Egypt, to be fair. Really look at this. Hey man, I'm talking a bit too much. Yeah, peace.
Hey, Eliyahu, how did that room sound?
Hey, I perceive it wasn't too good, man. Eliyahu would have shut the room
He
down.
came right back up.
He came right back out and just muted. Said dumb. Oh, he gone back
Oh
out.
man, he just left.
Yeah, it sucked. It was lame. These people are slow, man. A lot of these rooms, like stuff we're talking about, like a lot of us very early on, we see these things, but they're back there. They're still trying to do some weird stuff. You still got people today still talking about, but Christmas came. to revere Jesus. You know what I mean? What you talk to a damn fool like that? You know, I mean, just you got to imagine what these people out here doing in the world. They don't have no religion, no real faith or nothing. But that is their religion, you know. Now it was lame, man. Devon was over here talking, which was all right, but Devon Prospect, he be going too slow with people sometimes, man. He'd be letting people do a little turtle snail pace. That's okay, but you know, it'd take like 3 minutes just for him to get a verse. It'll take another 5, 7 minutes for him to read the verse. It'll take another 10, 15 minutes to talk about the verse. That's too much, man. Damn. Like, why don't people just be reading the text and just telling people you're off? This and then you know, and then people bring their evidence and you just gotta show, no, you're off. This is why, blah blah. And you know, I think it's crazy, man. People just be sitting back, really dwelling on this stuff all day. I don't dwell on it all day. I know I live in America, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I live here. Like, I see the things going on, man. People are crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
You would think all these people on
some of
this
them are.
app sound like they're rich and they ain't got no damn problems. Like, they ain't never been oppressed. Have you noticed that? All of them will be like like it's weird, man. A lot of people on here, they'll be acting like, oh no, 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 and I guess they had some good experiences. I'm not sure. The system I live in, I see it as just messed up. Maybe they never had no dealings. You know, a lot of people, they never even been to court. They never even seen how this thing works. They never seen the belly of the beast. You know what I mean? They just see those suburbs, don't they? Like, you know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Yeah, you can really be whoever you want to be on the internet, man. And you know that's the veil.
Yeah, these pastors to me are just pimps, man. I can't stand them. Ain't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that Charles Johnson is a pastor and he's on here all the time and he's got family and everything? Like, bro, when do you spend time with your congregation or your church? And where are they? How come how come they ain't on here? Like, shouldn't don't you think they would be interested in their pastor being on like an app all day long arguing with other people? That's crazy, ain't it, man?
Yeah, Jerry Hayes don't even do that.
I mean, dang. All of them. Them are, you know, Jerry Hayes. Are they? How come they ain't on here? Like, shouldn't don't you think they would be interested in their pastor being on like an app all day long arguing with other people? That's crazy, ain't it, man?
Yeah, Jerry Hayes don't even do that.
I mean, dang. All of them. Them are, you know, Jerry Hayes, Brandon, and Charles. They're all supposed to be pastors and bishops. My God, that's the best they got to offer, man. And Brandon, you can tell he's just wet behind the ears as get out, man. He blow away one of these little clubhouse guys who just been wasting their time on here, sure, because he's been spending a lot of time studying all that other stuff. But he's just wet as he can be behind the ears, man. He ain't supposed to be no damn pastor. He told David one day, he was like, "Well, David, you know, he's speaking just as proper as he can. Well, David, you know, if you were hungry or something to the nature of that effect, you know, I would feed you." I was thinking, well, damn, how nice of you, Brandon. It's real nice you'd feed David like a damn dog out of a bowl, bro. Sounds real nice of you, man. Get the hell out of here with this stuff. I be hating these people when they talk like this, man. Damn. I wouldn't want. How about this, Brandon? I wouldn't want your food. I wouldn't want your food if I was hungry, brother. I go grab something out the trash. How about that? Now, how does that feel? People talk you crazy like that, man.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
God, man. You know what I'm saying? You see this on all them pastors, man. They be acting like they're magistrates in a courtroom or something. They think that they're like, They think they got a position of honor, man. They be robbing God for real, man. Think about it. Like they went to this little stupid seminary, but they acting like they went through 8 years of law school, like they done went through all this stuff, like they done got voted and elected by their country. I mean, they just want. It's just crazy the sense of air of, this authority these pastors be acting like they have. From who? From who? Man, you got a church right on the corner of the street you're on. You're king of what? 300 yards? Damn. God. You know what I mean? Like, man. Hey, where I live, brother, I can drive down the street. I'll pass up 7, 8 churches before I get to a grocery store, man. God.
That's crazy, and it's probably a lot of poverty in that area too.
Jeez. It's not so bad where I'm at. That's the east side. East side's real bad side of town. Um, but yeah, man. I mean over there too. It's just everywhere, man, brother. It's just everywhere. I forget how many churches. I looked it up one time how many churches was in this damn city. It was mind blowing. Thousands upon thousands, brother. I was just like, whoa. That means there's that many
Wow,
pastors. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that means there's like hey man, hold up. I'm gonna have to look it up again.
that's wild. Thousands of churches. Dang. Like, how many churches do you really need? Especially if you all teaching this supposed to be teaching the same thing.
Hey, Vinny, I told you it's Egypt, right?
Yep.
Because each church is its own god.
All right, so within the city limits that I live in, which is very little, it's like a 30-mile, maybe 40-mile radius or something. There's 687 buildings, church buildings. Ain't that crazy? And they're not. That's not even including the non-denominational sects. God, wow. That means you need a pastor for everyone. You need a deacon for everyone. You need God. What are these people doing? There's one courthouse downtown, and they're doing more than all them churches together. Dang. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. You ever thought it was weird? You ever think? Haven't you always thought it was weird how like you can live in a town? It can even be a small town. You have like 15 damn churches. Why don't you have one church? Why don't they all just have one church that they all go to? But they all got to be different. That's them Protestants. Them Protestants got to be like, oh, well, we're Baptist, man. You Methodists do your own thing. Like, damn, y'all can't. They can't even make one church in their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like one church for everybody to go to. I was sitting. I was down in this city nearby where I live, man. I was sitting there and I was like, man, there was a Catholic cathedral, and I looked right by it, and there's this big old Baptist church. And I looked down the street, and there was another. I was just sitting there, I was thinking, like, dang, man. I said, look, like, what is this? Pick your flavor. Is this what it is? Because I'm just looking, I'm like, why do they have these multi-million-dollar buildings all next to each other? Why couldn't they just build one building? And I'm just looking at how much money it took to build that building. And I'm looking at it and nobody's there, brother. Nobody's in there. Nobody's coming in and out of there. There's no business. There's no commerce. That is just a waste of damn space, man. It's just a huge waste of space that they utilize like 2 times a week. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible. God, it's just such the Christian church is just a waste of space, a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. It's just it's terrible. You can't. That matter of fact, they're a nuisance. They're a nuisance. Like you can't have a homeless person sleep on their property. They're gonna get you arrested. If you try to come in there and talk to somebody and you're not like lining up with exactly what they want, they're gonna trespass you. These people are dangerous, man. These people come in like thugs. What they do is they set up churches and then they invite your mama and your grandmama and everybody else to listen to them and obey what they're saying. And if they don't, get the hell out. That's what these churches are, man. These churches are planted to seek the weak to make slaves out of, man. And then the people who got a mind and they're like, well, hold up. You know what I'm saying? I was reading it. They say, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of this church. Find another church. You see, that's how they be treating people, man. This is just, it's just, look, I could do the same thing. I could go down. I could get a 501c3. I could open up a nonprofit, and I could just open it up and put, Church of the Triune God over it, and they would come, man. They would come and give me money. I'd say, pay your tithes, and they pay their money. God, how stupid are these people, man?
You
Jeez, no
saw
wonder you got these people coming out of prison pimping these people in society like this. God told me in my dream that our church is going to go to a next level, and to do this, we're going to need to sow a seed. Damn, why you always talking about money, man? Why? How come people ain't like that? I don't get it. How come people don't stand up in church and say, "Damn, man, you're always talking about money, man. I just want to know what I need to do to be righteous, man." Dang. Get up. We got to leave, man. We're getting out this church because pastor up here won't keep talking about money, man. God. I've seen a few men do that. Yeah, man. Praise God. These men need to stand up in these churches and say, man, you ain't worth nothing, man. It's been a waste of my time and money in this place. They got your sister and your mama and that stuff, man. And they out here praying for you like you're living a bad life or something because you don't want to be in that wicked hellhole. They out here praying for you. Oh, pastor, please, he just lost his way. That's the damn devil you talking to, man. Talking about he done lost his way. They got your own damn spouse over here. I'm gonna have to move in with my mama because you ain't right with the church. What the hell? What y'all listening to this person for? It's some crazy stuff these people do, man. They'll take your own family members and derange them against you, you know. All this for a fake false system.
and you saw a little bit of that, especially with the using up the space for nothing. When they had them floods in Houston, and then Joel Osteen wasn't letting people in his church. But then when the community got upset at him, he started letting them in. That was crazy, man. That big old building that could have been a refuge for a lot of people. He was turning people away. And I drove past that thing, man. That thing is humongous. Very nice.
It was a
Hey,
stadium, man. Wasn't it a
man,
football stadium? God.
man, that thing is huge, bro. Hey,
They say
the
it's
funny
like the
thing is
third largest stadium in the nation or something crazy. I forget, man. It's humongous.
when I was out there, right, and I was in front of it, uh, it was on Sunday. It was after one of their services, and man, I was there to pick this lady up, and I was waiting out front in the parking lot. I was watching everybody out there. It was a lot of people, and it was a rain thunderstorm going on. Man, it seemed like this lightning just cracked right next to us, and then you heard that thunder kick. Pow! Shook everything, man. Scared everybody. I mean, people was ducking, running inside the house, inside the church, and everything. But I just thought that was ironic that that happened while I was right there.
Man, this guy Walter was on here one time, man. I sent an invite down there. I see the hand. Walter was in here talking about all he rubs. You know who Walter is, Oneness Walter. Talking about how he rubs elbows and buddy buddy with people who got a lot of resources and wealthy individuals and stuff. I said, look, man, I said, you need to tell those wealthy people to sow a seed into the poor man of God's ministry. You know, everybody's laughing and stuff, laughing it up. Damn, you out there driving around in a drop top enjoying the sun with your buddy Jerry. We're out here really trying to do some stuff, man. What's up? See, but these greedy graspers, man, they ain't gonna open their hand wide to people who are actually going to do something good with it. They just ain't, man. It ain't in them. They laugh that off, like, oh yeah, knowing you're dead serious. Ain't never played with them,
That's because everybody got their heaven already. It,
Hell yeah.
it ain't like Moses.
Hell yeah.
It ain't like Moses.
Them white men
Hmm.
living good out here in East Tennessee, man. In a drop top. Bishop of a congregation. What in the world? Nah.
Yeah, that thing said Moses. Moses could have did the same thing, but he said instead of suffering the pleasures of sin, he chose to, deal with his people. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like, what type of spirit are we working
it
in?
just is a trip because these are people who are like want to be real life bishops and pastors. Like these are the guys who want to live that life. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't living like no monk, man. They ain't out here living like a Paul, the apostle. You know what I'm saying? It's just a big joke. They living like a 9 to 5, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and really, they shouldn't be getting paid that much just for teaching, like on Wednesday and Sunday for a little small amount of time. Brother, these people get paid more than people do with real careers. These people, these pastors get paid 120,000, 110,000, 115,000, like 80,000 if they've been there for like 6 years, starting off around 70, 75,000. That's more money than a lot of people make who go to college, brother. Now, what I'm saying is, what are they doing to make that much money? That is a job career. That's a job that they're doing, and they only put in so many hours. You got a few of them here and there. You know, they try to visit people in hospitals and stuff. But you know what I'm saying. I'm talking about. Look at Jerry. Come on, man. I'm talking about these guys. You know, what are they really doing? Peddling a whole bunch of lies for money? Like you have the most like how do you say it? You have the most shameful job in America because it's like a trash man or somebody cleans a toilet is more noble than you because you just peddle lies for money. That's what you do in real life. Like you don't do no, you ain't helping me build my house or nothing. You know what I'm saying? You don't do nothing for you ain't putting no food on my table or nothing. You just teach lies. That's what you do, man. You make it hard for me and mine. You make it hard for me and mine and for mine. You know what I'm saying? Or anybody's posterity around here because it's you people who allow these things to continue to go on in our societies. And then when we want to stand up and change things, you're the people who are in the way calling us heretics and we're going to hell and stuff. Like we can do without you. We'll be okay without you, Pastor. You know, the community will survive without you, Pastor. Bye bye. You know, we need to just get these people out of here. They're horrible. These people, man, they open up these churches in our communities, man. I'm over it, you know? And then they propagandize and they put out this literature. Man tried to hand me a pamphlet in the parking lot, had the fear of God in his eyes, trying to hand me some literature about Jesus. Man, look, I had the fear of God in his eyes. Why I want anything to do with you? You look terrified, man. You serve a God of death. I don't want nothing to do with your God. Well, he was probably nervous, people say. I don't go nervous. Damn, he's scared to hand somebody some literature. That man's gonna cut my throat if it comes down to Jesus. You know, and God, that man ain't of God. He's a coward. So it's just people just all mixed up today, man. You know, they've made this religion all about these young boys who are all sensitive and soft and stuff. They'd say that's Christ-like behavior. You get what I'm saying? That they're wanting you to be like them young soft boys. You get it? And if you ain't like that young soft boy, then you ain't Christ-like.
Wow, that's all the man. That's all the way to control people, man. Make you super docile, willing to accept anything that the authority says. That's why you got people running around talking about they'll never go against their teachers because their teachers are the ones in charge. Even if they say something wrong, they can't go against their teachers.
Yeah, I mean, like this is reminiscent of the fact that the remnant is always going to be small because the truth is something that's definitely harder to come by than a lie. You know, especially when we look at Revelations 12, and it says, verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right? So that dragon, you see what I'm saying, is a reference to Babylon and the spirit that inhabits Babylon. So Babylon, you see, is in a position to be a conduit of deception throughout the world. And see, this is critical because that's something that is very consistent when it comes to empire. Empires, you know, typically have the ability to uh, dilute and or dissuade the people, you know, in whatever direction that they please because of revisionist history. They're not necessarily people who are integral when it comes to history and facts, and that's a very important dynamic to understand because you can be living in an empire and you can think the empire that you live in is the greatest, you know, thing since sliced bread. That's because of the fact that with mercy in my heart, if we are immersed in that type of world, they're able to give us propaganda. They're able to put out a certain narrative. They're able to make the empire, you know, seem a certain way to a degree. And if we internalize those narratives, again, that brings about some of what we talked about last night, which is a false consciousness. A false consciousness is a mentality that's a result of the dominant societal structures. You see, as far as like how economics can influence an individual, as to how culture, like the way of life, you see, of an empire can influence the people. And if all you know is that economic system, and all you know is that culture, if all you know, is the religion of the empire.
Did he go out or is that my phone?
Yeah, he's out. He's gone.
Mind or an untrained mind, a mind that's not necessarily concerned with looking to vet, you know, things that's being, you know, said or narratives that are, you know, being put out there. So, with that being said, this is an example as to how a narrative can completely malign a people's understanding, because people read Revelations 12 and they thinking of like the devil or Satan, like in the sense of a spirit, and that's it. They're not thinking about the fact that the ancient Israelite, you know, writers of this text, they had an understanding of the fact that the enemy, you see, spoke to the spirit that inhabited oppressive regimes. You see, especially depending upon, you know, context associated with a Revelations 12, where you got a woman that had 12 stars and the sun and the moon, you see, in her midst. And that woman represents the nation of Israel, and the 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Then you got this dragon with a third of the stars of heaven. So if those 12 stars are you know, represent people concerning the nation of Israel, why would people jump out the window from the fifth floor and think that the angels, I mean, the stars that came down from heaven with the dragon wouldn't be people too? And the reason why there's so many stars, as far as a third of the stars of heaven, is because that's an empire. See, the 12 tribes of Israel is not an empire, so it's not going to have a whole bunch of stars. An empire consists of a whole bunch of nations, a whole bunch of different people, you see, that are subjected to that beast. That beast, you see what I'm saying, when it comes crashing down, in the event of the beast being the system and or the leadership of that empire, then that means that the people that adhere to that empire are going to come crashing down with the empire. My year with that.
Yep. People don't understand it, man. It's a mystery hidden from the eyes of the this the I don't know what to say, but hidden from the eyes of the people who cannot see.
Ain't that crazy? Like you can read clean in the text that those 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. You can read that clean. All you got to do is go to Genesis, because Joseph has the same dream concerning himself. You know, and his 11 brothers, you know, bowing down to him, even the sun and the moon. And his father responds to him, you know, to rebuke him to a degree. It's like, shall me and your mother, you see, and your brothers bow down to you? But it says Yaakov kept that matter in his heart. So if we can read clean that those stars, you see, represent the 12 tribes of Israel, why on earth, you see, why in the Most High's green earth will we turn around and act dyslexic, you see, when it comes to the stars associated with that dragon? Like we don't know what those are. We think that those are demons. Yeah, are you?
Could you imagine the angel approaching these folks? They would think it was a devil, you know. But every time an angel approached somebody in the Bible, man, the dudes fell on their face like, "Oh my God, I'm about to die." And we talk about messengers of the Most High. That's crazy. That is crazy. I'm trying to find this text in Second Esdras, man. It's one of my favorites, where it talks about the one path. Hold on one second. Yeah, I had it right. It was seven. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'll start up a little bit before. This is Second Esdras 7, chapter 4. This is, I know people don't hold the Second Esdras, but this is one of my favorite passages, because it's just very direct on the mission that everyone has. And it's only dealing with one person, because can't nobody else walk your walk for you, no matter who you think it is. You know, they can only show you to the way, and then you have to walk that path yourself. So this is Second Ezra 7. I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says, "And he said to me, Esdras, oh, he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I've come to tell thee. And I said, Speak on, my God." That's funny because he's talking to an angel now. He's calling him my God. But people don't hold to this text, so that wouldn't really be that relevant to them. But it says, "And I said, Speak on, my God. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide, wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go up? Who then could go into the sea and to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he not come into the broad? There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of good things, of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could only be one man. My goodness, man, I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm gonna start over. Verse 8, it says, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And I said, It is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing that thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but that the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, There is no judge above God, and none that have understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God that is set before them. For God hath given straight commandment to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves. Huh, that's that delusion, right? And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. But this law have they despised, and denied his covenants, and his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore, Esdras, for the empty for the empty are empty things, and for the full are full things. Behold, the time shall come that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now is withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonders. For my son, now this is where a lot of people have this, but this is just a translation, right? But this version says, For my son Jesus shall be revealed to those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. So in other translations that I have, it says the anointed, for my son the anointed. But verse 29 says, After these years shall my son Christ die, the anointed die, and all men shall have and all men that have life, and the world shall be turned into the old silent 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days, the world shall yet awake, if not, shall be raised up. But the point that I was trying to get to was just that path. You know, there's only one path that we got to walk in order to get to the straight, to the wide open gate. And that path on each side is like fire on one side, and deep water on the other. I think Eliyahu brought out, when in one of his lessons the other time, about how people have to be tried. You know, you have to be tried, and you have to survive being tried in order to receive whatever you got coming to you. And and that's evident in the fact that the how we live now, right? We look at everything around us, man. It's all kind of wickedness. There's really no sense of community, and we have to fight through our ways in order to stay on that righteous path and not be sucked into all of this other stuff that everybody else is being sucked into, you know. And there's only one path, and nobody can walk it for you. Like Yeshua was a righteous man. He's a powerful, you know, elevated to the highest position that a man could be elevated to, or even anything underneath God, you know. But the only thing he could do for us is just lead us to the path and give us the information to survive walking down that path without straying away, you know. But people don't understand that, man. They think that Jesus is gonna hold their hand all the way down the path, you know. And he will, in a sense, because if you just listen to him and you stay focused and you focus on his teachings, then you'll make it. But if not, then you're gonna fall off onto one of those sides and you're gonna perish, and you're not gonna stand that test in which you have been tried, you know. And I think that that's one of the main things that people don't get in this Bible, man. It's like, you know, things have gotten way out of whack and out of hand. So now, in order for God to give you the kingdom, there's something that you have to do. You have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself if you're worthy, because why would he allow somebody who's known and somebody who's going to be wicked into the kingdom? I mean, all you're going to do is corrupt the kingdom again and turn it into what it is now, or what it was number one, Israel got kicked out, Adam and Eve got kicked out the garden. That's all you're going to do. You're just going to corrupt it, and then, you know, if you let a cancer in, then that cancer is just going to spread throughout the whole body and infect it. You know, so you definitely have to be tried, man. And let's see, Eliyahu changed his room. Run from the Christian church, get out, right? Yeah, but I mean, these people ain't teaching that, man. You know, they definitely not teaching that. I mean, their definition of success is the same definition that the world's definition is, and that's to get rich quick. You know, you want to get rich, you want to have all these goodly treasures, these worldly treasures. You know, where it's just crazy, man. But how can you? How can this is the question that I ask? How can you enjoy any of those things when the people that you consider brothers and who are supposed to be in the body are suffering and you know, facing oppression and doing all this other stuff? You know, it would only be right that you would use the resources that you have to help the people who are supposed to be in the body. You know, I'll go ahead and yield. And that's what these churches are not doing, man. These churches ain't really doing that. I mean, you see certain things that the Catholic Church is doing, you know, and I'm not gonna hold it against them, because I know that they do, like, if you have rent that needs to be covered, and you can write them and then they'll give you the money for the rent and you don't have to pay it back. And they got organizations like that. But when you look at these other churches, you know, in the hood, all they doing is taking tithes, man. They don't have no money set up for in the storehouses for people when they need it. They don't do that. You know, somebody having rent problems, you gonna write them for the rent I think I was one of us, or somebody that used to come into the room was talking about it, talking about how when they were involved, I think it was Harold, when they had issues with the rent and stuff, and they went to the pastor. I think the pastor told him he was gonna pray for him or something like that, and they couldn't really take the money from the church and give it to give it to him. You know, that's kind of wild, man. That is wild. When your office is supposed to uh, be the head over the people that you're serving, you know, that money that you're collecting is not just supposed to be going into you or the minister of music's pocket. It's supposed to be going to that storehouse. You know, that storehouse is what is supposed to be divvied out to the people who need it. You know, and they're not taking care of the fatherless or the widows in these churches, man. And that's the
Oh
sad
no,
part.
no, 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 no. How can they, Vinny? Their tithe, most of their resources is coming from people on Social Security. So, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I can bear testimony to this. So, this was a AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church. Okay, the main people that were there were old people who were retired, or on Social Security. There is not a very big youth. group in this church. The church was probably, I would say, almost $650,000 in debt, due to the occupation of new property, the building of a new church, and of course everything that goes into that. Everything you have to put in the church. I mean, there was a kitchen area. You have deep freezers, you have ovens, stoves, flat tops. You know what I mean? Desks, chairs, microphones, sound systems. Internet, all this stuff. You know how it goes. So, how are you going to take care of the widow and the fatherless, Brother Vinny, when it's the widows and it's the retired people and the elderly who are on a fixed income who are the ones you're taking all the money from to do all this?
Yeah, that's wild, man. And I got a personal experience like that too, because and it's funny that you said that at AME, First African Methodist Episcopal, right? My parents' church is First African American Episcopal, right? Now they got this old building that's already paid for. They got they had a parsonage in the Oakland Hills. It was nice area, sitting on the hill. It was already, I mean, it was bought and paid for. You know, all they was doing was just taking care of the taxes, which I mean, it's a non-profit, it's a nonprofit, right? So they wasn't paying much at all, right? So they get this new pastor that comes in there. This house wasn't big enough for them, even though it had 3 bedrooms. He had 3 kids. He had 2 kids. Him and his wife and 2 kids, right? They sell that place, and then they go buy a more expensive place where they have to make payments on in a gated community, not too far from the community that they were in, right? And we're talking about the house that they had before was appraised for over $1 million. It was probably almost close to 2 million. This other house that they had that was not paid for was um it's multi-million. It's probably over $2 million, right? It's got about 5 or 6 bedrooms in this place. It's about three stories. I want to say 3 stories, right? You go into every room, and I felt kind of bad, man. I wanted to rebuke this dude because he was kind of a damn devil, right? But um, you go into there, we're painting his rooms, and this dude got a box full of Rolexes, right? It's at least 5 Rolexes in there. So I'm moving all this stuff. Then you got to move all his wife's stuff out. She got all these Chanel bags, all this other stuff. They got matching Benzes, 500 classes. You go to the church, and they're falling behind on their electricity bills, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're asking the people to pay for this stuff. Meanwhile, you got this cat up in his house that the church money is paying for. When you
Hey,
already had a parsonage.
hey, that's what you saw. You know what I see? I seen that a bunch of times and more over
Mm,
with my own eyes. And let me tell you what I seen with my own eyes. I seen this pastor. He's living by a creek, I mean, a beautiful creek, flowing water, stream, big old house, way too big for him and just his wife. And he don't have no kids, just him and his wife. Church pays for it all. The electric bill, they pay for the property. They pay for all of his needs basically. And like you said, I mean, what's he driving? BMW. I mean, of the year, whatever it is, 2024, whatever. His wife, she driving a drop top. I forget what you call those things, man. Exotic car. Yeah. Now, how is that? And like you said, they're behind on the lights. They're behind on the property. The matter of fact, they're in danger of losing the building that they just built. How are you doing that? And that's on top of his salary. This gentleman's salary was about, I think it was around 120,000 a year, something like that.
wow, that's amazing, man. That is amazing, and it's crazy. What kind of community was he serving? Because this dude is in a
Uh,
community where it's poor. I'm
yeah,
talking about like it's in
they
West
call
Oakland.
it
It's
the
on the
they
border.
call it the gun zone. they call
Wow.
they call it the
Yep.
gun zone. So it's just
Yeah.
Subsidized homing area,
It's in the hood.
section 8 area. Yeah,
Wow.
a
That's
voucher
crazy, man.
area, whatever they call it in whatever state you're in.
These people are robbing the people and selling them hope.
Well,
That's what
they're
they selling,
involved
bro.
with
They selling
building.
dreams.
Yeah, they're involved with building. At least in the city I'm in, they're involved with building like the, like the newer projects. That's how I still call them projects, but
Mm,
they're raggedy. They're so
mm,
raggedy. The resources, the amount of money, you can look at the amount of money. It's public record. And then you go down there and you look at those establishments that they build. Man, they might as well be made out of presswood.
crazy,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And then you get
Because you
up in
already
there,
know. If you've ever
man.
been involved with building, you already know.
That's crazy, bro. Hey, I went up in there. You go up and you walk right into the church, and the front door, there's like this wall that separates the sanctuary from, the entrance where people are being let in. And on this wall, right when you can see it, they got these plaques with like these brass plaques on there. They're like little rectangles, and they have people's names on there. And the plaques read, "These people have donated or tithed $100. These people tithe $1,000. These people tithe $10,000. These, you know what I'm saying? And it has the names of these people written up under there. I'm like, why? What the heck is going on in this place, man?
Yeah, some aren't that blatant, but what they'll do is they have membership dues and fees as well.
Yeah,
So they have also sometimes conference fees. It just depends if you're a part of the Episcopal organization. An Episcopal
man.
organization is going to run on a governmental system. So they're going to
Mm,
have presiding bishops and elders and stuff. Then if you get into like, they all got to have their conferences, man.
man,
But some of them are linked up. Like people on here, like Brennan Jr. and the organization he's a part of, they link up with Baptists. You know what I mean?
ain't that crazy? Don't
They have
don't they? Aren't they against them people?
Baptists have Baptists have circuits. Well, like they call them circuits. They go around preaching and stuff like that, and they get paid. So when if you're ever in a church and they're like, oh, such and such is preaching today, let's pass around to bless the whatever preacher. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been in a congregation they do that?
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's like a circuit. Like you
That's
needed that
crazy.
man to come all the way up there to give you some special message, like he's a prophet sent from another.
Right,
God,
right, right,
the
right.
whole scene is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous,
What you
man.
got a whole body of people, God ain't get so you got to pay just for this show.
It makes you angry, man. That's crazy. You
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 get what I'm
look at them.
saying?
I do. I definitely do, man. They
Yeah, I
be
mean, cause what you
you.
just bored, so now we just need a guest speaker or something, but we got to pay for it. And
Hey,
he's supposed to be a man of God.
have you seen how much TD Jakes will get paid to go talk at another church?
Yeah, man, this is what these
Oh
people
my
look,
gosh,
and this is what these people want us to get in on here. This is what they're talking about. Like at the end of the day, Brandon J. Nero wants us to be a oneness Pentecostal. Get the hell out of here, man.
that's wild, man. That is wild.
Yeah,
Like, how can you?
yes, I can remember all that. You know what
Mm,
I mean? That world's nuts.
it
Then people are
is.
up in there in the morning. Can't nobody say everybody got is acting formal. Half people don't even want to be there, brother.
Mm,
And then what? You ain't learning anything. And then what are you doing with your time? You got to wake up in the morning to go there. Why you got to wake up in the morning? Why I got to be here at 8:30 in the morning, brother?
right,
If I want a Bible study, that
right.
means that means if you got a family or something like that, we all got to get up at like 6:30 in the morning to be
Mm,
at this funky church to do what? You can sip coffee and you ain't minded on the things of God, so we got to hear some story you want to tell in Bible study. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Nah, man. We had
Hey,
to
you
get
know
up
what?
it was dark when we got up. You know what
Yep,
I'm saying?
yep,
What's
yep.
going on, man?
You
We
know
better
why
be
we used
hearing
to get
something
up?
for real right now.
You know why we used to get up that early? So that we could do something in the day. Because we wanted to go do something early in the day. Our parents had us get up like, come on, you guys, we got to get out here and go to church so we can go do this other stuff. That was like the saving
See,
grace
and
is
that's
going to
why, and that's
church.
why I see, and that's why fathers, and this ruined everything, man. It's society is it's so hard, man. Let me tell you something. See, that's why you see these families. They shouldn't be going to these churches. They really believe in God. They should be going out here. They should be taking their money, going out somewhere pretty, like you said, waking up in the morning. going out here to somewhere beautiful, going out to the mountains, going to a trail, going to a hike, doing something, and then their father can tell them about God, brother. You understand? He can tell them about God and about this world we're living in, about the injustice, and he can tell them about what righteousness and stuff is. These pastors, they're a problem. We need to get away from the pastoral system. We need to get away from, we need to verbalize for people to get away from people who say they're pastors. Because I kid you not, I have not come across a pastor that I have ever looked at to be like, this man dropped out of heaven from God. Most of them are making up lies all the time. They don't even know the doctrine of the Trinity, but they teach you a Trinity. I mean, people just need to get away. They are just a trap and a burden on people's lives. It's the message people need to hear. People need to hear this message. You see, they need to understand you don't have to go to this place. You don't have to be amongst these ignorant people. And the man, you see, of his household, he needs to show, he needs to teach, if he's got a family or whoever, what righteousness is, what real justice is, what peace is, the way we're made right with God, how you need to repent towards God, how we need to be living examples, we need to be aware of all these people because they're insane. They suffer from mental illnesses, and they need to know what these mental illnesses are. They fabricated myths of fairy tales, so people are not walking around. We would not say possessed by demons. They're underneath insanities, meaning they've been bound to either their desire or their passions. And these people are sick people, and you have to be very careful. They're the type of sick people. Man, I was in Walmart a few months ago. They have this big wall with missing people on it, and then I'm in Walmart a few months later, and it's tripled. I'm looking at all these faces. I say, "Oh God!" I say, "Oh God, help this situation." This is wild. But you see, that's because of men's insanities. This is what's happened, and you got to be careful. You can't stop when you're driving down the interstate. You can't stop at certain rest stops in America. So if you're not from America, everybody, when you come here to America, when you come here from the UK, be very careful what rest stops you stop at, because this has become habitations for homosexual activities and crazy activities. So you have to like spy out areas before you even go into them. I mean, that's the kind of life, you know what I'm saying, that is presented to me from America. And then you need to be careful. If you come to America, do not go to rural areas. Do not go to areas that are not more clustered towards the city, because out here in the country parts of these cities here in America, these people are highly racist. They're dangerous people. In America, if you drive 30 miles with outside the city limits, you will find yourself in like a rebel Confederate America. And amongst people who don't have teeth, you will find yourself amongst people who have guns. You'll find people amongst yourself around people who have rights to bear their guns. And you will find yourself amongst people that just are all one ethnicity, and you need to be careful. Be careful of these areas in America, because people disappear in these areas of America. And in America is mainly this. What you see on television is the big cities. You see big cities on the television of America, but America's huge. America, from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, is a humongous mass of land. Trust me, I've seen it. And I'm going to tell you, they're showing you big cities and medium cities, but most of America is what I'm telling you. It's the dangerous people. It's the ignorant people. They're scary people. You'll walk into a gas station, you feel it. You feel it all over you. You feel it. People are looking at you. They look at you. They're looking at you strangely. This is a weird place, y'all. I'm for real. Vinny, am I telling the truth? Is it just me? I've
No,
seen
you
these
ain't
things.
lying. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And
You ain't
look,
lying.
these politicians are raggedy people that came out of high school, and they got on a suit and tie, and they acting like they're ethical people. And these were people that, you know what I'm saying? They was driving down the street, throwing toilet paper in your trees. They was knocking your mailboxes off of its post. They was doing donuts in your front yard. They was mocking and making fun of the people who are misfortunate, and now they're mayors and senators. And people give these people the utmost respect. It's insane. And these people are so haughty, you could tell them nothing. These are all no. This is a bad place. The pastors here are pigs. God, spiritual men around here are. I had a spiritual man. He was a so-called pastor. Let me tell you about this so-called pastor. I was just doing the ministry, and I was telling him, I said, "You got to follow." He got offended. He got offended, and he pulls back his blazer, and he has a pistol on his hip, and he says, "Man, I'll blow your brains out." I said, "Man," I said, "You need to repent, pastor. You need to repent. Talking about you're going to blow my brains out." And this is in front of like 30, 40 people in the midst of a town square. Jeez, man. I,
Truth hurts, man.
hey, I seen some priests one time, some Catholic priests, so-called fathers. I'm sitting here talking to these Catholic fathers about this scripture. These men were evil. They were smirking. They knew exactly what I was saying, and they were evil. And you should have seen they had these beads in their hand, these wooden emblems of graven image, of a man who's on there tattered, halfway naked. I mean, these are crazy people. I mean, brother, it's just everywhere. And then the judges, they're always hanging out with these people at these lodges, and they also meet with all these lawyers. And it doesn't matter if they're prosecutors or defense attorneys, they all go to this place downtown, and it's like they have like a cafe in there, and they sit in there and they all talk about how they're going to ruin your life, man, and what they're going to do with you. What you going to do? Give me this for that, man. I need a few more cases. Well, what about such and such? Just give him 20 more years. Just who gives a damn? Just give him 20 more years, and see if you can give him this deal. Man, this is some evil stuff these people are into. You got the penitentiary system is overflowing. You should see these people come out of prison. They don't have no help. Okay, man. The homeless people here. Okay, look, if you come to America, it's homeless people. They hate homeless people with a passion. They hate homeless people to the point to where they'll put a bar in the middle of a bench so they can't lay down, spikes under a bridge so they can't sleep there, fences and territories so they can't put tents, go out into the woods, take their tents, will destroy their tents. Good God. Vinny, I've seen some stuff. Like just going back, what my eyes have seen, so much vexation, brother. Oh my God. I seen a situation where there was a what do they call it? Not rescue ministry. But the rescue ministry was like a homeless shelter. And man, you had homeless people outside, in other places they call it Skid Row. These people smell like urine. They're in their own feces. I mean, you just got Christians walking around with lattes talking about their morning. This lady's obese. You know what I'm saying? She eating a donut. You know what I mean? And I'm looking. I'm like, whoa, wow, you animal, brother. I've seen a lot of stuff now.
It's
Look,
wild.
yes, look, man, and they will find any look. There's this one homeless shelter. It's evil, brother. When I would go down there and I would do ministry and preach and stuff inside, I got banned from this place. They banned me, the righteous man who
Right.
came to teach truth, brother. Like I wasn't causing any trouble. They
Yeah,
had an
yeah, you
issue.
was. You was stirring up the
They had
waters.
it. I almost can't even remember the issue they had with me. I forget if it was I was preaching for people to repent. It was something about the message, and they just didn't want none of that, man. But anyway, and then I have found out. Okay, here we go, brother. Many years. I have found out that they were barring people from being able to stay there for minuscule reasons, like such arbitrary things. These people have nowhere else to go because it's the only men's shelter that they can go to, even with their children, perhaps. And it's just the basic homeless shelter because all the other ones are for women and children. There's no place for men to go. So they're barring all these people for no reasons. Like okay, this person, you didn't move as fast as I told you to. I told you that no one should be in the bathroom at this time. So now, then they would bar you out of here. And where is you going to sleep? Because you was in the bathroom at a certain time. You need to use the bathroom. People want to be like this petty people. Oh no. So I was bringing light to that. So yeah, so I got barred from there, but you know, I could stand on the public sidewalk right in front of the building because that's owned by the city. So, you know, and so they come out. You say, look, man, I can stand here. What good did you do? You understand? You stop nothing. You know, so then you got to teach these people. You got to show them how evil they are, and it's like God, but they have to go in here and sleep and rest. They have to be amongst these people. They have to suffer abuse from these authorities. You know, they don't help these people get IDs. They don't have they got these programs, man. They be acting like it's programs. They're so raggedy and old. These buildings, man, you go in these buildings. Have you ever been in God, man? I'm not gonna get into it. Mm.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it was basically this woman was pulled over by the police, right? And she's living out of her car, and you know, you could tell she's already disturbed, you know, but just by the situation. So she's being kind of irate, you know, but you could see the frustration that she was going through was probably taking over her. So she's kind of being a little bit irate, you know. She's talking to the police, and the police is like, "Oh, you know, something happened or another. I think she didn't have a license or something." And you know, this woman is telling them like, "Look, man, you guys gonna tow my car, and this is all I got. Like, this is where I'm living at. You know, all my clothes and everything is in here. You're gonna tow it and take everything from me, right?" And it's crazy, man. I don't know, man. It was kind of disturbing. And then at the end of the video, you see the officer reach over, one of the women officers, and she got Psalm 119 on her arm. And
Oh, yeah,
and
okay.
I'm and I get in the comments, right? And I see
Nah.
all these people talking like, "Oh, this woman is just an animal." You know, how could the police? Thank God we have police that are this patient and putting up with this stuff, right? So I get in there. I'm
Yeah,
like, man, these
the
people
lady
don't
should
believe in the
just
Bible,
yeah, lady should just let everything she has get taken. She had her last,
right?
and then that lady
Exactly.
she gonna get out and shoot somebody too, and then you're gonna blame her for
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I
You know
know.
what they told
Hmm.
her? They told her, they said, "Well, we're going to let you go, but we're going to have to tow the car." The lady's like, "Well, where the fuck, you know, excuse me." But she's cussing, right? She's like, "Where am I going to go? What the hell you expect me to do?" Right? So she's getting irate and everything. And now the police is getting agitated. And I'm like, man, these people ain't doing nothing for the community at all. Because if
No,
you
they all suck.
understood the problem, you know, you would at
Ain't
least,
nobody,
you know,
ain't nobody trying to be your neighbor too, man. Unless they
no,
want something
no,
from you. They want to
not at
take
all.
something. They want you to give them something. They want something like want you to do stuff for them.
Yeah,
Like you know, and I'm not talking about like you know, oh, you know what I'm saying. They want to
yeah,
use you. Don't nobody want to
that's
be your
it.
neighbor unless they want to use you for something, brother.
Man, it's crazy.
You know,
This world is crazy.
yeah, it's a
Taught the
trip.
wrong things, man. And everybody follows. You know,
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome, bro. You want to be just like the people, like you claim you sit up there and you talk about how oppressed people are and how bad it is, but then you turn around, you want to be just like the
Hey, and
oppressors.
some people don't know though, Vinny. Like, see, I've been fortunate, like you, man, you've painted and done stuff. I've been fortunate where, you know, I've been able to do construction and be in people's houses. And I've seen from the lowest of how people live to dang near the highest, dang near, man. And I'm just like, I'll tell you, like a middle class, let's say an upper middle class neighborhood, people wouldn't believe how people are living. They wouldn't believe. Some people, that would be paradise for them. They don't get it. Some people don't understand that just some of these middle upper class, just a little bit above, they are living insane here. Like they have more than they know what to do with, you know. And you can see it because they have too many bedrooms. They got too many bathrooms. They got stuff they don't use. They got too many cars. You know what I mean? And it's just like wow. Hey, all this wealth all around us all the time, and so you got people who really got to beg for money. And it's just, and but they brought all these drugs. Ain't nobody making these drugs like that. You could clean out drugs. They act like you could never get rid of it. They keep this stuff here. You know how easy it
They
would
making
be to
money
get
off
rid
it.
of it. Let's be real. Now it might be hard for you to get rid of something like marijuana or something, and but that ain't gonna be a big deal. But you know, all this other stuff, man, this crack and this heroin and this meth and this fentanyl and all this, man, ain't get that the hell out of here. Easy. People are out of it. That stuff is being put, man. They're letting these people do this. Where I was in a county that was near me, the sheriff department was the main one. It was the sheriff who was the head of all the drug distribution and meth product and methamphetamine that
Wow.
was being pushed through there, and the DA had to get involved. I mean, that's like, okay, it's insane stuff goes on. Look, like y'all saw the other day, post that dang up was up there in Nashville with the 17 busted. There's a pastor involved, but that wasn't nothing. There was a dang over towards um Halls, Tennessee. It's just like it's a little place, huge church, Baptist church. Man, that was the whole ring of pastors, and everybody was in the body of the elders and stuff. They was all doing the sex trafficking through there. They was pushing through droves of people through there. Jeez, how do you get that many people involved in something? So, no, it's too weird for me, man. It's too much.
Yeah,
If
they.
whatever city you're living, I would tell people, whatever city you're living in, look up whatever Freemason lodges you have around you and
Hmm.
do a field trip one day. And in your city, because they're there, they're
Oh, I know.
there,
I believe it.
they're there.
My uncle was a Freemason,
Shh.
and my other
Go just
uncles.
look at them and look at the
Yeah.
area around them. Look at all the symbols and
Yep.
whatever downtown you're in. Look at all the Patriot stuff and all the other stuff they have around there. And man, in Nashville, Tennessee, Vinny, they have
Hmm.
a pantheon from freaking ancient Rome or wherever it is and they have the god Dionysus down there. Have you ever seen it? It's in the main park. It's the main park down there in Nashville, the capital of Tennessee. Oh my
Hmm.
God, man, it's insane, brother.
Crazy, huh? I know they got a
Yeah,
big building in San Francisco. They got a few of them. But
I mean,
my
and this is
uncle.
a for real idols temple, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's made exactly like the one they had over there, and it's great. You walk in under, you kind of go down like almost like going underground. You go into this temple, and they have that
Mm,
huge, I think it's Dionysus or something in there. And I'm
mm.
just, yes,
You
man.
you know what it is, the head, the what do they call it, the master mason, and who's in charge of that lodge. It's whatever his religion is. That's what the number one deity is. But when they got altars in there where they all go pray together, right? So you got Bibles on the altar, you got Qurans on the altar, you got other things on the altar, and the only thing you got to do in that is just believe in one God. So your God could be Satan, your God could be the Most High, your God could be Allah, your God could be whoever. You just got to believe in one God. But my uncle, man, I used to have conversations with him, and this dude had a Masonic Bible, right? It was the Bible, but it had Masonic principles in that Bible, right? But it was a real Bible, but it also had Masonic influence in that Bible. And I'm sitting there here trying to tell him, like, look, man, that stuff that you talking about ain't nowhere in the text, you know. Like even when you get into like, because they'll try to make the claim like, oh, Masons were back in the Bible and they were doing all this. Solomon was a Mason and this and this and that. And I was like, man, it's two different kind of Masons. You got speculative Masons and you got operative Masons, right? And I forget which one is which, but the speculative ones are the ones that do the work with their hands are the operative ones are the ones that do the work with their hands, and the other one is the one that became like a fraternity, but that didn't come about until like late, in after the thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? So all of these people are just falling under some false pretense, like the Masons were back in the day. Like no, no. Well, they might have been, but it was some weird stuff going on. You can even see um you can even see what was I gonna say? You can even see semblances of that in the Bible, where in Ezekiel, I think it's chapter 7 or 8, when he's like, "Son of man, do you see what these people are doing in the secret?" You know, and it's all like the 70 elders down there in some deep dark room away from everybody else. Talk about God doesn't see us. you know and it's just like, man, these people have carried over the same tradition, and now these other people have picked up this tradition, and it's just weird. It's wild, bro. It's wild. But that stuff is no joke, man. Yeah, my uncle was a Freemason, so that's the one where they deal with, like, it's not the black ones, it's like the white ones. He was a Freemason, and then I had my other uncle. and my cousins, I have a few cousins, they're all Prince Hall Masons, you know. And I'm sitting over there trying to tell one of them. I get into it. One of them is a pastor, and he's a Prince Hall Mason. I'm like, how in the heck does that work, right? So we start going back and forth with it on Facebook. This is one of my cousin's friends, and this dude, I mean, he didn't even know the text, right? So I'm like telling him, like, look, dude, the stuff that you doing is not right. And I'm showing him scriptures, bang, bang, bang. And he's trying to argue against me and everything. And this is around the time they had floods going on, right? So this dude, to get away from the conversation, he started talking about the flood. So I just gave him grace. I was like, you know what, man? Hopefully everything's all right with you, bro. You know, but you just go ahead and take care of yourself, because I knew he wanted to end the conversation. But it's crazy, man. But how these people's minds are shaped, you know, by these things. Like, you don't even study. You're a pastor and you're teaching this stuff. You know, it's wild, bro.
Yeah, Eliyahu, they done learned this false gospel and they got it, brother. They hanging on to it. The Christian church is full of it. And when I say full of it, I'm talking about the false gospel. And get out now is definitely the plea. Because if you stay in, you're going to suffer the consequences of staying in. Now, they finally kicked me out of Cool Man.
You went out, Bob. The spirit of cool man came and put you out of this room too. Am I the only person that can't hear him?
Nah, he's gone. I
Oh,
don't know where
spirit of
he's
cool
at.
man followed him anyway.
Golly.
He gonna put him out of the whole Clubhouse platform. Man, Bob is funny. He be in there rebuking all them dudes in there.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. About be more right than all of them, man. Like even
Right,
you be off.
right. At least he got that there's only one God.
Jeez. That'd be like John 1:1, and Bob would be like, God never said that. Like, I can't take you seriously, Bob.
And then cool man to come in
That's what
behind him.
Cool Man says.
I
If I
don't
were to try to
receive
take
that.
you seriously, I would get upset. That's what he told him one day.
He said, "What?"
He said he can't take Bob seriously. He said if you take him seriously, he would get upset. So he just lets him say foolish stuff.
Dang, yeah, it's
Yeah, they
crazy.
think he's
That
a
is
straight fool,
crazy.
don't they?
Yeah, they do. Oh man, that's crazy. I don't receive that. I don't receive that.
God, Coleman's always saying that. Well, that's all how you receive it. I don't receive it that way.
Right.
What you mean receive it that way? How you supposed to be receiving stuff all the time, man? Who you receiving stuff from? He's always talking about he had a dream, a vision. He used to do that a lot. You remember like 2 summers ago? Man used to always be like, I was looking in the mirror and he showed me
Yeah,
what
I remember that.
what the Son of God is. He's the image, and he showed me my image in a mirror and all this crazy stuff. I was like, this man's out of it. What's happened to Cool Man? Must be going through something at his home or something.
Man. Whew.
Getting on here talking about all this weird stuff.
Yeah, that's off the chain, man.
Oh, he had all these people. He was smoking all these people. You should have seen all these loony, weirdo
Mm.
people in these rooms with Cool Man talking about, yeah, brother, and I had a dream too, and God was doing this and that. And I was like, golly, man, y'all, now y'all are coming out of the closet now. Y'all been doing a bunch of stuff with y'all, man. This is crazy. You hear
Yeah.
these people know they making stuff up, man. And go, God told me to do this, and God told me to do that. And God told you that.
Hey, as soon as they say that, Eliyahu, the conversation is over. Because it ain't nothing you gonna be able to tell him that
There's
is
some
going.
dangerous
You
people.
can't show him nothing in the Bible,
That's why a lot of them
right?
pastors are dangerous, because a lot of them will do it. A lot of them will get into that spirit where they be like, oh, well, I was talking to God yesterday and God was telling me, he was like, listen, son, I want to tell you. They'd be talking like God was talking to them like he was like their damn daddy. God ain't talking to you like he's your damn daddy, you
At
know?
all.
Yeah, and that's the way they do. They'd be like, I was sitting down with God the other day down in the park and he was telling me, what are you going to preach tomorrow? And I was like, well, Father, you're the one who could tell me what I need to preach. And God told me before I came in here and preached this today that I need to sit down and just think about it. And those are
Oh
some wise
my
words from my father.
God.
It's like, damn, dude, you making all this up, man. Why are you doing
Heck,
this?
this whole conversation with God,
Yes.
huh? That's
Yeah.
wild.
Oh, there used to be this lady, man. She used to play this guitar at this one other church that was lost and going to hell. And but she would call it Papa's porch. And she would sit there and play this little damn guitar like she was playing to some damn kids in second grade, and play this damn guitar and be like, does Papa ever talk to you? Papa talks to me. And she's talking about God the whole damn time, dude. And I'm just like, man, talking to grown folk like this, I just don't understand these things. It's just not, it's never been in me. I remember when I was little, one time we was singing in a choir. I remember I was singing one time. It's just all strange, man. I'm not going to lie. It's all weird. They have that bathtub in there they call baptismal. You ever see them bathtubs, man? You just be like, you
Oh,
ever
I've
be
been baptized in one.
yeah, you just walk through there, you look around and stuff. This is
All that
crazy,
dirty
man.
water.
Hey, and then they be have some of them be having like little paintings of white Jesus
Yeah,
being
they do. Our
baptized by white John
crosses.
the Baptist in the water behind you. You know what I mean? And they're baptizing you like in the same way. Like they're John the Baptist and you're Jesus, and you're just looking at this picture of this white Jesus. You're like,
You
God,
come up out that water thinking that dove
this
is
is a
on you.
trip. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. It's
It is
crazy, man.
crazy, man. It's all an illusion, man, to keep you interested, man. I was in there listening to them dudes talk yesterday, and I had to leave that room, man. They started talking about how, you know, uh, homiletics, you need to get into homiletics and all of this stuff. And
Oh God.
I'm like, what in the hell? I didn't even know what homiletics was. I had to go look it up. After I looked it up, I'm like, why in the heck would you want to
Hey,
study
man,
how to present the word like that to make
man,
it's
and people
crazy,
and people also want you to study stuff all the time you just do naturally. Like, I
right?
don't want to spend all day studying stuff I do naturally in life. You know what I mean? Like, I've been living.
Man, ain't that
I don't
crazy?
need to read how I've been living.
Right.
You know, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, people want you to be like, oh, well, you need to study the nature of forgiveness out of such and such. But no, I don't.
Right.
What in the world?
I've been forgiving people.
I mean, brother, you know what I'm saying? Some stuff is wild. Some stuff is crazy. They just want to write about a topic, make a subject, make a topic. You see what I mean? That's all that they're doing there. It's just just keeping themselves entertained, kind of like you said, keeping people entertained. Because look at how all these people argue in these rooms, man. They are consistent. You go into a room right now, it's like, yeah, but that's not the substance. That's the flesh he added. What? How's this supposed to get you anywhere in life, brother? You know what I'm saying? Like, people talking about stuff like it's a comic book, you know?
Yep, definitely. Yeah.
Or it's like, them conventions they be coming together to play like them cards or like Harry Potter or Pokemon or chess club or Bible club. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, but in the meantime, people who follow the Quran, they're establishing communities, grocery stores, taking over whole portions of America, prospering, being
But
doctors, owning hotels and gas stations. Um, you know what I'm saying?
yes,
But not the Christian, not the rinky dink Christian. Rinky dink Christian got this. Well, God is three natures, and two persons, and five, six distinguished penguins, and seven and eight non-polar bears that they're always talking about.
Yeah, it's all vanity, man. It's all vanity. To be honest, that's why somebody looked at me crazy when I told him. I was like, you know what, the Muslims keep more Torah than y'all do. Talking about the Christians, I was like, man, they keep more Torah than you. Like even in their banks, man, when
Their
they give out,
cultures are better.
when they give out loans, they can't charge interest. You
Yeah,
know,
they yeah. If you just didn't look at it as a religion and you just looked at it as a heathen way of societal of living underneath another authority, their system's better than America's.
exactly.
People don't get that. And you know how I know that? Because I've tasted it. I've been in the midst of their culture. I've been there, and I've seen how people are treated and how things are done and how things are charitable and how people give and how people are trying to live righteous and not amongst each other. And, I've seen it. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's a consciousness amongst that type of culture that's not in this type of culture. In this culture, there is no consciousness of I need to do right by my fellow man because he is of God. There's just, oh, here's this little bastard again.
Right. Right. Yeah, I like most of my cousins is like Muslims, especially the ones in Seattle, and I got some in Denver, but they're all Muslims, you know, and you see the way that they live, like even how they cover themselves, like the women. The women, like when we used to have family gatherings, the women used to come and they wouldn't even really give you hugs or nothing like that or shake your hand. You know, it was just hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. But it was a part of that culture. Like we're not, they would cover up all the way and stuff like that. You know, but it's just different. And my sister was talking to my cousin one time. She came from Kenya, right? And she's a Muslim, and she used to always cover herself, have her head covered, and also wear those long, I forget what they call them, but them gowns. And my sister was in a conversation with her. She was like, I think it's sad the way that they objectify you women and how you guys have to cover up and do all of that stuff. You guys aren't free. And then my cousin told her, she was like, well, you know what? That's ironic because I was thinking the same thing about y'all. All these American women, man, they get objectified on TV. They want to show all their skin and wear all these tight clothes. And, it's just like you're objectified as a sex object. And I was like, dang, roasted her. Right. And this was before I even came into the Bible. It was just, this was a while back, man. But, I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? She's right, man. You know, like the way that these women project themselves out here, like you got to wear all this makeup to think that you're beautiful. You got to wear all this long hair when you think that you're beautiful, right? And I used to date this girl a while back, man, and she used to cake on the makeup, right? But when she took the makeup off, she looked way better than what she did when she had the cake on there, right? And I was like, I used to tell her all the time, and she thought I was being chauvinistic. Like, you can't tell me what to do. You're just trying to. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? And it's just wild how how society just shapes the minds of these people, man. It's crazy.
Messes their heads up, don't it?
Messes their heads up, turns it inside out and upside down for real. It's like, man, it's like what Paul said. You call evil good and good
If I
evil.
heard a guy say Barbie and TikTok have made American women unmarriable.
And he ain't lied about that either. He definitely ain't lied about
Yeah,
that.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, man. We're victims. Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Right. And it's crazy to go into these other rooms and to be able to peer into other people's conversations and hear their topics and what they're talking about. And the pastors and these apologists and everybody that really they've gotten really locked into talking about the Godhead, haven't they? I mean, it's like somebody who lost a bad fight and they go on talking forever about like, you know, trying to I just don't know. They're stuck, man. They are done.
I
But
mean,
yeah, man.
they can't talk about anything else.
Oh, they're
Yup.
done on so many levels, man. Like their industry is done on so many levels. I mean, it's just evil. What is somebody like Pastor Charles ever going to do? Even if he convinces you, okay, he's teaching the truth. What you're a part of a whole corrupt organization and institution, man. Like you are a peon in the midst of a corrupt house. You can't change nothing in that congregational set. And that's the thing. So people need to know in America that you're not going to find God within Christianity. I think that's really important for people to know. It's important for them to know that Christianity in America specifically is Protestantism. It was made up by a guy named Martin Luther, John Calvin, the Swingleys. They call them the Swingley brothers, and others. And it's just unfortunate, but that's what a lot of these people. That was who their forefathers were, I guess, because a lot of these churches were in so-called predominantly, non-minority neighborhoods. I see it all the time, and they just kind of unfortunately had to follow behind them because of how evil these people were. So, for example, if you see the Spanish, they're all Catholics. The Hispanic people are they're all Catholics down there because they was forced into this. And then you'll see that you will have churches in lower economic areas where you see a lot of minorities are Catholic and or following some type of Methodist or Methodist Episcopal or some other type of non-denominational thing or whatever it might be. Who cares? It's just all fake religion. It's just all false. That's all. It's just a big waste of time. And I think that, if I would have enjoyed for somebody to been able to show me how it was all a lie. You know what I mean? Like from the rip, it would have saved me a lot of years of investigating and having to learn. Like you know,
Yeah,
it,
but you might not have took it as seriously though.
right. I mean, but that's obviously why these people are lost. Like,
Right.
see, like the guy who was in here earlier. I forget his name. He calls me Bishop Eliyahu or Church Father Eliyahu Mike, whatever. And he's that. He's always bringing up the church fathers, blah blah blah. But see, those people, he's in that system. He goes to those church. He don't know. He didn't. He probably pays a guy money. He pays a guy money out of his pocket, man, who he calls a pastor. And that's what people really need to realize. That's what they need to understand. That's what I'm trying to get people to see. People like Albie Al and Sam Shamoon's part of the Eastern thing. They are giving their money and resources to some type of big power. Y'all got to get this. And that stuff ain't got nothing to do with God. And so what if they're apologists or teaching the truth or whatever? These people are bound to these things. And I mean, if it's not true, the truth, it's not the truth. It's pretty easy to see, I think.
I think it is now, at least.
Yeah, it's just accepted. Like they get you when you're young. Like, here's what happens. They say, oh, well, this is Christianity. This is Jesus. Okay, you accept it. And then what do you get? You get like nothing in return. They tell you get eternal life. But what you really get is like what?
Some garbage.
Yeah, you don't get a beneficial system. Not even like a club. Like, okay, like it's better get a 401k. Like, I mean, what do you get out of a church? Like, they're teaching you, I guess. Like, okay. It's just like, it's just bad, man.
Yeah, definitely is bad. Definitely is bad, man.
Yeah. And that's why people don't quit. You know what I mean? Like, that's why they don't question. Like, you just accept Sunday. Okay, yeah, Sunday is the day we're supposed to worship. Oh, that's the Sabbath. You just accept you're supposed to, oh, I can eat anything. Like, I've been eating already, so I don't have to change. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter how you dress because God doesn't look at the outside; He looks at the heart. So, and then you see people are so brazen even to wear stuff to their church that looks like crazy, like they're a hoe in the street. Like I mean, it's just. But you couldn't do that you couldn't do that in other places. Like any other religion ain't playing that. Christianity in America is just a Harlem, isn't it? Like it's just a whatever you call it, a harem. You know, it's
Yep.
just yeah.
You ain't lying about that.
I mean,
It's
it's like come as you are, do what you want. right?
Yeah, people don't realize that, man. Like, I mean, come as you are, I can see, but stay as you are now, negative. Yeah, you ain't gonna stay as you are. You're gonna have to follow some rules and regulation. You know, everybody comes from a certain past that they have, but you got to give those things up. You know, especially if you want to join this congregation. Like, how you gonna let somebody in the congregation? You know, like say, take for instance a flaming like somebody who practices homosexuality. I don't like to call them homosexuals because I don't think they were born like that. So I just say that they practice those deeds because of their lustful nature, right? But say for instance you got somebody in there that's flaming, right? And you can just tell just by the cadence, right, or the cadence. You look at them and you don't what you don't realize is you're saying this is okay. So you got kids over there looking like, oh, okay, well, this person is normal. No, it's not normal. Therefore you have to go change, man. Our lady, you guys got to go change, and you got to come with some proper attire. you know get rid of all that makeup, all that, whatever you're doing, just get rid of it, and then you can come in here. But people don't look at it like that. They're like, oh man, if we turn them away, we're turning away a child of God. No, it's not. God, well, they was putting people out the community all the time. You see that in Paul's writings. I think it's in Timothy. If any brother of you be a whoremonger or this or that, you should not keep company with them until they get it right. That's in the New Testament. You know, so we're called to be judges. But people don't see it like that, man. It's just too hard because they don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But that's the whole purpose of loving somebody. You got to hurt their feelings sometimes. Sometimes you have to hurt feelings just so that they can understand that this is not okay. You know, and you might even face a whole lot of turmoil and tribulation for even hurting some feelings. But who cares? You just got to stand on your square. You can't be fearful. That's what the Bible says. It says that the fearful will not inherit the kingdom. Why? Because they're too scared to do anything. You can't rebuke anybody. So how you gonna listen to Ezekiel when it says, if you don't rebuke somebody
That's
who's in
crazy,
sin?
ain't it?
Yeah,
Ain't that wild that like people don't even know that. Like people today would think, well, God, he's just scared. God loves scared people.
right. That's not the case, man. You got to be steadfast, because you're trying to get people to the right side. How can you get people to the right side when you still letting them accept the things that they're doing that's wicked? That don't make no sense. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then they always say, well, if I do this, and they fall away from God,
That's
then I'm
right.
I'm gonna be the one that caused them to fall away from God. No, they caused themselves to fall away from God.
Yeah, man.
Because
I
they didn't
see it
want.
now. You know what I mean? Like yeah, after you get to that point to where that light gets really bright, your awareness does, your consciousness does, and you realize what you're really in the middle of, man. It's like it's as clear as day, man. Panoramic view. And you can see these other fools are bound to all these things, man. The problem is you're stuck in it. You're in the middle of a big net. You know what I mean? It's horrible. It's terrible. Like when you have wisdom, when you acquire this type of wisdom, it will not change. This is not going to change. And people are under a false presumption that it's going to change. No, it ain't. God's going to gather a few. Jeez.
Yeah, we got to stop playing because I mean it's gonna be a time when judgment comes, and then everybody's gonna get judged. And then you're gonna be judged for the things that you say and the things that you allow. You know, I mean, if you're not gonna tell people that they're involved in some wickedness because you're scared, and try to get them off away from it, then guess what? We're gonna be judged that way as well. You know,
Yeah,
so
it's just about liberating people. Look, it's just they need to get out of these churches. These churches, like I said, are institutions. They're just organizations and they have bylaws and they serve a bigger institution. And it's just people just need to see this. That's all. I mean, they're These people have just bound to this. Like, look, like I told you, the hard thing is they're in the delusion, and a delusion, remember, is an unshakable belief in something that is untrue. That's what a delusion is. So they got them young, man. They got them. They snatched them. It's like these people are like, yeah, the Sabbath, the Sunday, we can eat anything we want. Paul's our apostle. That's just, these people have never read nothing. They don't know. They never read the Bible. We know this. We studied this years ago. That the American population, like like 90% of professed Christians have never read the Bible. We know this. This is just all just what people want. They just chose, or it was forced on. That's all this is. It's just, hey,
Yeah, that's a definite fact, man. But to be honest, I'm convinced that most of this stuff is a trend for people anyway. It's a social thing that they can go to where they can communicate with people. Maybe like loved ones and friends. Has a good makes good talking points. But people ain't really trying to follow this stuff, man. They
brother,
don't
it's
even.
just the culture. No, Vinny, it's beyond that. Look, it's the culture. Like, look, you know what I'm talking about. Look, it's like this. It's like this. You're moving up in the world, right? So what do? They invite you to church, man. Not just regular people, but like lawyers, or like if you have a business partner, or like people are like, or people get involved in the relationships with people. This is like, okay, church, because all these people are evangelicals. They all look, when you have senators and mayors and judges, they have to be somebody of some type of religious background to get it. You think there people are going to be electing all atheists? That's one of the main running things. Like, my faith in God as a man who believes in moral integrity. All this crap they give you. These people are evil. They be gambling. They be squandering. Hold on a second.
Yep. And that's just the surface things. I'm talking about like what about the undercover things? Like how can you be a man of God or a woman of God and deal with a Bible that teaches you not to charge interest, to your brothers and sisters, which you say everybody is your brother and sister, you know? How can you be that?
I believe, hey brother, I believe this
Yeah,
woman. She wrote this book, and it was back in the day. But everybody in America hated this lady. But she said that's robbery.
that's what it
Whenever
is.
you force somebody to give, whenever you force somebody to give you money, which is taxation, that's a robbery. And what's happening is they'll say, well, how are we going to build the hospitals? How are we going to build the streets? How are we going to build all these other things? It says, well, if that person is the one whose wealth you're using, you can only take that by consent. So, like, if you're wanting to build a hospital, you want to take my money to do it, you need to ask. Why don't people think like that?
Hmm.
See, everybody's got a big, they're in all this, man. They're into this. And it's a bad system. And they just can't fathom anything else. They're taught everything else is evil. You see what I mean? So, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to be communist? We're going to be fascist? It's crazy stuff they're into, man.
Yeah, they ain't never read Acts, have they? Yeah, but what the cold part about it is, like these people will profess to be Christians like that, but then they're gonna run and they don't even realize that when you charge people rent over a certain amount of money just to make money, that's charging interest on people. You're charging people interest. Not only are you doing that, but you're making a living situation that's unsustainable for a lot of people that's in those communities. They rush to these low income communities. They buy these houses in broke neighborhoods. They fix them up, and then they sell them at a premium. Now, how is a person that needs a house or something like that going to afford that if they can't? You're raising the prices up in these communities. Pretty much redlining. You're a part of that redlining system. You know, and I had to realize that Eliyahu, we had a whole team set up, bro. Like this was before I started really digging into the Bible, but we had a whole team set up. Okay, me, I'm a painter. We had general contractors, we had plumbers, we had everything. We was about to set a team together. We was about to start buying houses and fixing them up. You know, Then I start studying and finding out, like, nah, man, that's charging people interest, and it's also being partaking in redlining. You know, you're making a living unsustainable for people. You know, you raise the prices up in these neighborhoods. Now people can't afford it. Now they have to either move out or do something else. You know, and that's
Hey, bro,
crazy.
and they want you to be a corporate slave. Look, if you have your own business or your own company, they're going to hit you with more
Oh my God,
taxes. They're going to hit you with more. Come on, man. Because they want you to be a part of the industrial corporation,
that's
man.
what it is. That's why they creating all these automated jobs now. They got robots doing things in the in all these sectors. Driving cars. You got independent guys who take people to and from their places of life, and they're making a living off of that.
Yeah, screw
Independent guys,
this.
right, man? I'm
They
telling
don't
you.
know, man, because they
Wow.
ain't here doing nothing for themselves. They don't know. These people are robbing us of our money,
Yeah, you breaking up a little bit, bro.
man. People, they act like it's supposed to be this way.
You breaking up, Eliyahu. But yeah, I heard what you're saying. They are robbing us of our money. Definitely robbing us of our money, and people can't see it because they think they've been in a society that teaches them that this stuff is okay, so they think it's okay because it's lawful. Don't make it right though. There was a lot of unlawful things to God that people were doing back in the day when He was rebuking Israel and rebuking all the other nations. That were lawful, but they weren't okay with God. You know, and all of this stuff that we've been taught, man, this go out and flip houses, go out and buy these apartment buildings, and then charge a premium so that these people could pay rent. You know, when what you're actually doing is you're denying people a place to live. You know, and even the children of Israel, if you look at it, they were given that land, they were given those houses, and God told them, He's like, "This is my land. I'm giving it to you." They didn't have to work for that land. That was a
Hey, man,
natural
these
right
rich people ain't paying no taxes,
at
Vinny.
all. Nah,
These billionaires ain't paying.
it's crazy, man.
What's really good, man?
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. And then we follow after these same people who we complain about. And that's the part that gets me. You're coming up and you're getting affected by all this stuff. You complain about it, but then now that you've made a way for yourself and you're not getting affected by it no more, now you want to be just like these people, you know? And that's crazy. You know, you got
And people don't know how evil it is, Vinny. They don't know, like, they say, okay, look, why don't you do something about it? So then you go down to, the city council or whatever, you get up there, you get your allotted time, you speak about things. Brother, then they start making you a target and stuff like that. They start trying to slander your name. They start trying to make up stuff about you. People will try to put you in, even if it's not even a religious type thing. Let's say it's just you have that position or something's going on in your public school system around the children or something you think is necessarily immoral or something else of this nature. They'll categorize you into a political group. Like, these people are insane. You think this is bad on Clubhouse? You notice on Clubhouse when you're talking to somebody, they say, "Well, what do you hold to? Are you a Trinitarian? Are you a Unitarian? Are you a Presbyterian? Are you a?" You see what I mean? When you get into politics, it's the same thing, brother. And you're up there talking, they're going to try to, and don't let it be a religious reason. They're going to fanaticize you. Okay.
right,
hmm
right. Yeah,
Gets real ugly for people and their families, man. People don't know this stuff. And this is the people y'all acting like are good people out your neighborhoods representing y'all. And it's the same everywhere you go.
exactly.
It's no different. Exactly. Because you know why? They're trying to impress people higher than them. I tell people all the time, I say, you think this person would be a judge or a lawyer here instead of in this city? It's because they're crap. They're trash. Think somebody, if you had a good judge, they're going to be making this low amount of money sitting in this little old county here. These are underlings. They're here to put you into a penal system.
That's
That's
a
all that
fact.
is. Yeah, they're there to put you in debt. That's what a penal system is. They're here to put you in debt. They'll create crime if there's no crime. They're desperate for it. They need it. That's why when they start getting low, you'll see them send out them arrows, brother. Them sheriffs and them police will be everywhere. Them state troopers will be everywhere. You say, dang, man, I done seen 4 people pulled over today. Knowing you ain't seen nobody pulled over all week, brother. This stuff, these people are stupid out here, man. They don't get it. We're just boxed in, man.
And these are the people that others desire to be like. You know, you got somebody on the bottom, and you sitting up in there staring at these people, and you looking at them how they live in luxurious. You know, they don't have a care and a need, and that's who we desire to be like. You know, that's what we design. That's what our level of success is like. Not nobody like Elder Moses, right? Who gave up all that stuff so that he could suffer with his people. We don't look at Moses like that. Like Moses was a successful person, or Elijah, you know, walking around in the desert, you know, away from all of that stuff. We don't look at all these people as successful people. You know, we look at these people who's on top, who's got millions of dollars, who's got luxury jets, who oppress their workers. That's who we look at as successful. That's who we align ourselves to be like. That's who we teach our kids to be like. You know, I told my son, right. He's got he's got some stuff. He's got some stuff that he wants to sell, like some used clothes and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, son. I was like, we're not gonna sell them used clothes. We're just gonna give them to somebody that needs it. Why? Because you're gonna get new stuff. You're blessed to have somebody that can give you new stuff. So this stuff that you can't fit no more, we just gonna give that away to somebody else who can need it, who needs it. You know? And it's like, you know, we got people don't think like that, man. People don't think like that. You know, you walking out the store with some groceries or whatnot, because I don't give money away, and I have my reasons why I don't give money away to people, right? Unless I really know that you're going to use that money for good. But you walk out the store with a bag full of groceries, and you got somebody asking you for some money for some food. You know, why don't you just reach in that bag and give them some groceries, give them some food out your bag? You know, we don't really think like that. We don't think like that at all. Why? Because our minds have been shaped, you know, in the wrong place of success. We've been taught to look down upon these people. You know, I mean, in deed, not really in word, because people always, oh, it's so sad that these people are like that. Yeah, but you're not doing a damn thing to help them. You know, you ain't giving them no hope. You know, why? Because you got about 15 apartment buildings, you know, and probably you got about 3 or 4 empty vacant units, and you know this person needs a house to stay in, but you ain't gonna give it to them. So how you know all that stuff? You just jaw sucking.
No, Vinny, look, man, no. We Americans, we slave, we suffer. We got nothing. They'll let these Indians come over here, brother, buy up a hotel, and their whole family will be living on the top floor of this hotel luxuriously in all their own rooms, and then have a whole hotel. Brother, you have people in America that are working their whole life to own a freaking house. To own a freaking house, Vinny. And these people come over here and got gas stations and got hotels. Brother, where I live up near the national park, these people got cabins, brother. 6, 7 floor cabins, jacuzzis, downstairs movie theaters. Can't speak no English, brother. Smell
Vacation
bad
home.
like curry. I mean, brother, I'm not even hating right now. I'm just trying to tell you the truth right now. How? How long is it going to take you to get a hotel, brother? You know why? Because they give these people money, Vinny. They give them money, Vinny.
Yeah, they a lot more in solidarity than we are. I know that much. You know,
They give these people
it's
loans,
crazy.
brother. They give these
Yeah, it's
people
crazy.
all types of subsidies, brother. You don't understand. It is so much. I was talking to an Indian guy one day because I said, look, brother, I don't keep my mouth. People don't want to talk to you. People don't want to talk about things, but you see the type of person that I am, you see? So I talk to people. I'll find somebody. I find somebody. I was talking to this Indian guy one day. Is this hotel beautiful place, man? Up in the side of the mountains. Beautiful. He said, how you get all this? He said, when I came over here, he said that they had options for him. He said they had options for him in certain locations to where they would give him an extension of so much money, X, Y, and Z, if he would procure the property in such a, I mean, brother, he was going through all this stuff. And I like at the end of what he was saying, I got what he meant. He meant basically, brother, that when he got over here, they was like, look, if you want to open up a business, this and that, here you go, and we just need this much in return, blah blah blah. And look,
Oh
Vinny, look,
man.
this is what they did for him. Listen, they said this, look, we have all these buildings in foreclosure here. We have this hotel we can give you. Brother, where's our opportunity?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But you know the people who are on top, who had the opportunity, who have the money to do it, they not even helping the people. You know what they want to do? They want to sell the information to somebody. A lot of these guys are selling the information. That's why you got all these YouTube channels where they selling all this information. Like, okay, if you want to do what I did, I'll here come buy this course and I'll teach you how to do it. But the people on top in our community, they not really helping out. You know, they're not helping out at all. Like I said, I
It's
got a
setting
lot
these
of
people up with hotels, brother.
yeah.
You've been seeing this stuff they're doing in New York, building these $1 billion buildings, man. Ain't nobody living in them. They storing all that. All this stuff is just money laundering, brother. We're all suffering here in America. These people are building $1 billion buildings nobody's living in. This
Now
is
that's
crazy.
crazy right there. You know, it's a lot of empty buildings in like San Francisco, Oakland, and all of that. And instead of like putting people inside of them and turning them maybe into like low income housing, which is wild because low income housing is just a farce. Because you know what the low income is considered out here in the Greater Bay Area, the low six figures. That's what's considered low income.
Jeez.
So how in the hell you got a minimum wage where you got people making like $20 an hour? How are they gonna compete with the people that's making low six figures?
Can't.
That ain't
Impossible.
that ain't low income. That ain't low income, bro. That's crazy. It's crazy. This place is crazy. It's all backwards, man. That's why when the kingdom of heaven come, man, when the kingdom gets established, when he come back and he set that kingdom established, then you're gonna really see what the kingdom look like and what the kingdom is about.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, brother. Yeah, it ain't
Yeah,
it
it ain't
ain't
gonna be none of
this.
this.
It ain't this. People
Nah, it
been
ain't this
sold
at
a
all.
real dream, man. They like people don't know, man. There's some nice places, but it's just because this is God's creation. I mean, all the things you really enjoy around you is not these funky old industrial buildings. It's this beautiful landscape. It's this nature God made, And they ain't doing enough with that. We have their city. There's ordinances. You can't grow apple trees, orange trees, anything with seed producing, yielding fruit within the cities. I mean, why would you have homeless people needing to beg for money if you had apple orchards around? If you had, if you had, see this is what they've done here, brother. This is all on purpose. This is all industrial. This is all commercial. This is a big commercial experiment. I got to fall back for a minute.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy because I mean, how hard would it be to instead of planting like these just like these regular trees that's out here just for beauty, why not put like a orange tree there or an avocado tree or you know what I'm saying or a mango, you know, a tree of bananas or something like that. Why not put these on the streets instead of these other trees that's here just for looks? You know, it's wild, man. These people running out here planting all these trees, for looks, and they could be planting trees out here that produce food, where people could just go up and just take some food off when they need it.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Well, can you believe people still go to churches? It's
Oh,
just amazing, isn't it? Think about it. They spend all week not spending no time with their kids. You know, they spend all this time around strangers, people who don't care about them, 9 to 5s, 8, 10, 14 hours a day. Some people working 60 to 90 hours a week. And you're going to get up and go to an institution on Sunday that don't have nothing to do with God at all? For what? And how much time do you really got? This stuff is bad, man. I think people are just really become real fools. You got all these other people who they worship ain't even like you said, people like Moses. It ain't even people like Ezekiel. It's people like Elon Musk, you know? It's people who got a lot of money, or a lot of physical talent. Hold on a second.
Yeah, and Elon Musk, he took that Tesla idea, man. I think Dan was touching on it the other day. But Tesla was a man who was building that electricity. He's the one that came up with that idea, and he was going to give the electricity to the people for free. He found out a way to produce it, mass produce it, or bottle it up so that where he can
They killed that.
distribute it to the people for free.
They killed that guy.
They
This
killed him.
guy,
Yep.
he had a car could run like hundreds and hundreds of miles off of like a gallon of water. They killed that dude. Hey, did you need to know about that in 1999?
Is that the dude in Buffalo? No, that's not him.
I don't remember. A guy in 1999, he made a car that could run off of water, and he ended up dead. And they poisoned him in the restaurant, and he was crawling out in the middle of the parking lot talking about they poisoned me, brother. And they took all his plans. Same with Tesla. Tesla had all his papers confiscated.
Yep. And it is just like recently in the Buffalo. I don't know if y'all heard of that mass shooting in Buffalo, where they had the dude came into the supermarket and was shooting them people up. You know what the trip is? One of those guys that died in there. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it was a planned hit. I don't know, but it just seems fishy. But one of them dudes that died in there was this black dude who also had a hydrogen. He had his truck. He had his own truck, and it was running off of water. You know, and he had
No, it's
plans.
just what they do. They
Yeah,
always do that.
man, he was
Yeah.
making plans to where he was going to, put it out there, and then all of a sudden he just turns up dead in some kind of freak mass shooting in the grocery
Well,
store.
people still trust the
Now
American
that was
government.
crazy.
Why? Why does anyone who would think they're an African American, so-called black, whatever, brother, why would they ever trust this? They was inoculating people with freaking syphilis till 1970. You had COINTELPRO. We talk about this all the time in our communities. Look, down at the historical center, we'll be down there. We'll be talking at the historical center about all these things that America has atrociously done unto our minority community. These people sit down here like they're dumb as hell, man. They're just dumb as hell. I don't know how else to say it. And they still sitting here talking about what little mayor they're going to vote for, who's a Republican or a Democrat. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Think about it, Vinny.
man, that's the trick bag right there.
Who are we going to vote for? As they're sticking a needle in your butt, putting syphilis in you. Which guy are we going to vote for this year, guys? This is
That's the
crazy.
trick
They're
bag.
this dude. It's the trick bag, man. How can you do it, brother? I could never do that to you in real life. Could you imagine how mad you would be at me, Vinny, if I put syphilis in you through a needle? Hey, Vinny, I gotta cure you of something, man. I'm just the government. Okay, Mr. Government, here you go, brother. We got no money for this. No reparations for this. Did anybody ever get paid for that Tuskegee crap?
Nah, I
They
don't think
don't want to
so.
pay for nothing. Now, where does anybody get away with that in the world? Nowhere. It's a crazy place, man.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. They run experiments on people all the time, man. And now they do it kind of in the open where they ask for volunteers. I would never volunteer for none of these scientific experiments ever. I don't care
Hey,
how
what
much.
did they storm? What did they storm the Capitol for a while back? You remember when they ran up in the White House, the white people? What was that
Yeah,
all
man,
over?
because it was like the Civil War being started over. They didn't like some of the what do you call that, the rules that were being enforced upon them. I
What in the
forget what the
world?
exact rules were,
Now
but
look at
yeah,
what they tripped out for. But then you have people, the government, that same government. I mean, for real, like everybody knows about this. Like the people who work in the government, like the people are coming out to your house and they're shooting you for a syphilis. But then nobody tripped. Like, what happened over this? It's some
yeah,
crazy stuff, man.
it is crazy.
They went down there to South America and they was killing people with weapons they developed. Nobody cares about this stuff. In Cuba, in different places, they've been doing some crazy stuff. Joe Rogan, he went back. He had to stand with some people because they're putting stuff in their water. You know, you just listen to this stuff. You remember all them people was drinking lead out there, and the government was letting them drink lead,
Yeah,
whatever it was
yeah,
out there. What in the world,
that's
brother? You
crazy.
ain't doing nothing. Could you imagine, brother? You just wake up one day, you feel off, man. You've been drinking lead, and they've been knowing you've been drinking lead, and they've been letting you drink lead. Which I mean, why nobody? I mean, ain't nobody picking up no pistol. Like, okay, well, y'all got to go.
Yeah,
This government's got to go.
yeah, nah, man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy what's going on. I was looking at this article, right? I forget what it was. It was a while back, but there was this guy who created this scheme, right? And he defrauded people out of hundreds of millions of dollars,
Probably
right?
an insurance agent.
Yeah. So he defrauded a lot of people,
Them
and
insurance companies are hardcore, brother.
yeah,
They're
he did
hardcore.
for
You ever watch
hundreds
the
of
movies with
millions.
them insurance companies, brother? What they do in towns? Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yep. And
Oh
they
my
know.
god. They'll be killing people in towns, brother.
But look, if you can defraud people out of $100 million, right? And then the fine that comes back on you is about 50 million, and then you might have to sit down and do some time, right? How much money have you made already? I mean, you probably gonna go sit down
Oh,
and do maybe like
you're saying
4
the
years.
risk is worth the reward, right? The
I mean,
risk
that's the
is well
mindset
worth
of
the
them people,
reward.
right?
You
Because
know
I mean, what kind of
what am I
money?
going to do with the little 6 or 7 years anyway?
Right,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
it'd just be wasted anyway.
Compare that to the Bible, where it says if you are found with it in hand, then you have to pay back double. If you don't have it in hand, then you have to pay back 5 times. You know, that'll deter somebody. But I mean, 50 million, and you done came up, hundreds of million. I mean, come on, man. Come on, the math ain't mathing. But I mean, this is the type of stuff that these churches got us believing in, man. Oh, you got to follow the laws of the land. Follow the laws of the land. Do what they say. But that ain't nothing. Man, these Jehovah's Witnesses be out here. They be out there religiously preaching and teaching.
They sure do, man. The Mormons too, man. They've been coming out. I've been seeing them come out heavy. I ain't seen them in a while. You know, in COVID, when COVID was around, it wasn't really died down a lot. The Kingdom Hall
Yeah,
and the Ward. But we're kind of like 4 years out. So yeah, I've been seeing them pop up here recently, starting to make their way back out again, ain't they?
yep. I think that's probably what I'm gonna have to ask these brothers to do, because these people I congregate with, we usually do it inside of a house. I'm probably gonna ask them, let's do it inside of a park or something, where people could hear it. I think that'll be more beneficial. But yeah, it's madness, man. This Christian church, you got to get out of that Christian church, man. They lulling you to sleep quick.
Oh man, yeah. Catholics, they're even worse. They're crazy. They're gonna have you praying to a dead woman named Mary, who's the Theotokos. They got a bunch of fantasies and myths, and that's what leads people into mental illnesses. You know what I mean? That's exactly when we look in the scripture and it talks about the issue of people who are not in a sober mind, that don't think a double-minded man can receive anything from the Most High. I mean, this is very simple. We see this. I mean, what they're doing here is insane, man. They've bombarded us too. You've been but we've been bombarded by television, by movies, by stories. But you've heard every story and horror story in the book, man. They just give us everything like unfiltered, man. I can't tell you the type of horror movies I saw back in the day. I mean, this is some insane stuff they was showing me, man. I was seeing some wild images, man. These were some insane dark thoughts that people were bringing up, man. I mean, but the real evil is them, you know? It's their wicked souls. You know, it's just like you gotta these people are real dark and evil, man. These are some real evil people we live around, man. And they have all these systems. That's what's so crazy about it. How everybody has set these systems up and they'll kill you to keep it this way. That's the crazy part about it. It's just how wild and crazy people get. You ever see people get in a fight and you're like, dang man, they're really fighting over that. I mean, it's going down. You ever seen that, man? You just be thinking, have you ever thought like why you seen it go down like in real life? I mean, and you're like, man, this is just some foolish stuff.
Yep.
You
And the
know, like,
people start whipping out their phones and start recording. World starting it.
oh man, yeah,
How you brothers
that's the
doing
way they
today?
was raised to do that.
Facts. Hey, what's going on, Benji?
What's going on? How y'all doing? What you talking about?
Not too bad. Talking about the church and you got to get out the church, man.
Get out the church?
Yeah, you got to get out the church, the Christian church,
But
the modern day Christian church. Yes, get out of there.
what are y'all? What are y'all Christians or y'all Israelites or something? Hebrew
I
Israelites
mean, we can call us Christians. You can call us Israelites. You could call us a whole lot of things. We just believe in the Messiah and
in the
keeping the
Old Testament.
commandments of God.
In the Old Testament.
We believe in the
Just
Messiah
don't call
and
me
keeping the
Baptist
commandments. Yeah, or Protestant,
or
or
Catholic.
Catholic,
My Lord,
or Trinitarian.
So y'all don't believe in? Oh yeah. So y'all don't believe in the Trinity? Okay. I believe in
Nah,
one,
yeah, one God, man.
one God.
You oneness?
Excuse me?
Are you oneness, or you just believe in one God?
Are you asking me? No, I am an atheist, brother.
Oh, you atheist?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So you don't believe like there's a creator at
No,
all?
sir.
Hmm, that's
do you
Now,
interesting.
believe? Do
I
you believe
wonder
that
why
there's
I'm
any higher
blind.
beings than human beings or anything like that? Like when it comes to sciences or anything, or you just kind of like, nah.
Yeah, there's no existing evidence or no substantial evidence to prove no higher being or existing God or gods ever existed or existing as we're speaking.
I do have a question, like, cause I look at like everything on Earth. It's like everything is comes by way of creation, right? So like if you like a tree, a tree, the seed, and you put it in the ground, and a tree starts to get created out of that, you know. And even everything that man's do, man is a creator himself because he creates all these other things. So you don't look at all that stuff, and then you don't think that there has to be like some major creator that created everything. Look, whether it be like
Why can't it be awesome? I would say, okay, that's cool. I wouldn't say I won't think about it, but why can't it be? I would rebut to say, why can't it be a possibility that everything would just played in it, everything would just placed there? We don't know. Why can't nobody ever know? But why can't the other possibility that things are just here and they've just always been here? Why it just got to be one possibility of there's a God? Why it can't be a second possibility that things are just placed there and they've just always been here and always will be?
do you believe that the destruction, like
I,
when
I think
everything
I
got
think some people would conceptualize that as God. Honestly, I think some people would call that God. What you just said.
And that right there, it just placing. That's where we get confused because you're literally just placing things you cannot see and have no understanding of, no evidence, and just base it on God. This is why we have problems with theists. If it wasn't for theists, there wouldn't be no atheists. So that's what theists do. They can't explain. They have no evidence of why these things happen, why things are here, and they just say, "Hey, since we don't know, it has to be a God." No, you have no evidence, no scientific evidence, no demonstration of no God existing. So therefore, there is no God.
do you believe that the world how do you believe that the world came about? You believe it was always here and everything was there the way it
Yes,
is?
energy,
I mean, of
energy
course
cannot
not
be
like
created or destroyed. It's transformed. So it was always a place. It was always here. before
I'm
any
talking about like the
God.
birds and everything. There was no point of origin, because scientifically it says that there was a point of origin. I mean, now the way they describe it is, is different than I probably would describe it, but they do say that there was a point of origin. So, do you believe that there was a point of origin?
I believe everything was just here. I literally said I just believe everything was just plain here. We have no knowledge of why, and they're just here, and it just always will be here.
What do you
That's
think
it.
about? Do you think of reincarnation or transference of energy? You just consciousness. Do you think consciousness transfers over anything like that, or
No,
what? You just think it ceases?
yeah, I don't believe in
Where does that
reincarnation.
consciousness
Yeah,
get displayed?
yeah, I don't believe in
Displaced?
reincarnation.
Is do that's interesting. But you believe it was all here. It's always been
Yeah, it
here.
always will be.
You believe so. It always will be, right?
That's it. After we're gone.
What do you think consciousness is?
Conscious is something we can't really explain, but yeah, I don't really talk too much on things. What I'm saying that to go deep into. If you want me to bring one of
Yeah,
my,
yeah. I mean, but well, apart from God, this is all
you
we
know
can
what I'm
really
saying,
talk about is our experience. You know what I mean? Like what we're living in,
and that's a
what we
personal
are. You
experiences
know,
that led you to God, right?
right? Or our awareness of what's
Yeah. So
around us. You know, that's what I mean.
yeah, the
Like,
personal experience.
how do you determine what consciousness is?
I just believe it's here. I say I don't explain it. I don't go deep in and talk about something I don't know. I just I don't explain it. I don't know it, and I just don't say it's God. That's the difference between us.
Right.
We don't know something we that can't explain, or if somebody is a different atheist that understands it, that did science or studies upon it, he will be able to do more. But a person like me, if I don't understand something, I got to do more research upon it. I will do that. I just don't say, hey, I don't know what it is, so I just call it God. You get what I'm going?
Are you just aware, like from your perspective? You're here now. Do you ever wonder what the purpose is of why you're here, or you just think you're here just to see this, or
If that's
you're
the
just,
case,
how do you think of your
I just
existence?
believe we are here to be here. If that's the case, we will know when we die. Nobody does. It
Right.
just pops up out of nowhere. So yeah, we're just here, just living here. And then when it's our time, it's our time. We don't know when we die, so it all got to come one time.
What
We got to
what
come one day.
connection do you feel with the things around you? Do you feel like you've always been here? How do you feel about things?
I believe once I came into existence out the womb and knew what life was, that's what I knew that was. Before I ever
You don't
was,
remember anything else, right? That's what you
before
remember.
that nobody does. No,
Right.
nobody does. Now you don't. Nobody remembers before you ever existed or existed before you even came out the womb or knew what life was, where you was at, who you was with, what God. Nobody acknowledged that. Nobody knows. So it's gonna be the exact same thing when you die. If you don't know what happened before you got here, you don't know where you was at. You don't can't tell me if you was with a God or not. So you don't know, but you have a, a stand strong at top of the mountain that you know when you die now, you lead somewhere and go somewhere. But before, you don't even have no acknowledgement where you was at before you even came here.
Yeah, see, the way I look at it, like, is like I look at everything around me and I see that it's all, come about through creation. Some kind of creation made all of this stuff. You know, like even us, we're born through a creation. So I look at it like, okay, so if everything that I can see is a result of creation, then there has to be some kind of other power, or other force out there, so to speak,
And
um, that
so,
created.
so
You know,
you'll see everything around you, everything you see, everything that's here in front of your face. You would say there has to be a creator, right?
it was created. I can see it. I can see it being created.
You can see it's created, so it has to be a creator,
Oh, there.
right?
Yeah, that's my logic. That's what.
And then the rebut we're gonna ask you. So if there's a creator, who created the creator?
Well, I mean, that's a question that we can deal with, but I don't know. Something. If something.
Exactly. So it just goes into a rabbit hole. So it's like placing a container. It's like they put the universe in a container, and then you open the container and just look besides things, and you don't know why it's here. And say things. You don't know why it's came or why it's been here. But you just say, hey, somebody had to create things, but it's different parts of these things that actually been here, already been here. So you can't. They sit there and say, hey, things that I see that I can understand has a creator. But when I ask you who created this creator, it's like, oh, I don't know. This is, and usually they say, well, this is when we don't
Yeah,
question God.
I
You know
get
what
I
I'm
get
saying?
that, but we do understand a lot of things now. We understand that everything is coded and sequenced. We know a lot of things about DNA now. We know a lot of things about the world around us, like the way that it operates and how basically everything is sound, everything is vibration. So we understand we don't have senses. We only have certain senses that can perceive things. Like I have ears. Without ears, I couldn't hear. There's a bunch of sounds around me all the time, but if I didn't have ears, I couldn't hear all those sounds. Just like with eyes, if I didn't have eyes, I couldn't see none of it, but with ears, I could hear all of it. So we can perceive different spectrums of our reality based upon our senses. But where I think we're at, we're just all talking, like you said. I want to know what you think your existence is too. In my existence, I see I'm in something. That's where I'm at now in life, and I do think it is something that has been created for sure. And the reason is because of everything that we see. Like, but
Yeah.
you say this is natural processes, but natural processes are also orderly processes. Orderly processes think. So I think that things are living around us. Like I think trees and everything are living. Like I think actually that things actually pertain a certain level of consciousness itself, even the animals and everything. And I think that what we have is different. And I do think that's because we were made this way. But that's where I'm at with it. I don't know who else wants to share or whatever.
Yeah, I would see it similar, and I would also say like even with the scenario with the creator, right? Even you say who created the creator? Well, we know that somebody would have had to create it. You know, like even if there was somebody that created the creator, then that's somebody that created the creator. And even if you keep going further and further and further, then you would have to get to this ultimate creator, and land at something. Because I don't know, man. I just look at all this stuff,
But
man. It's
energy
just
cannot be created or destroyed, it's transformed. So it always been here before any God could exist. No God can create it. It always been here. So if that's
uh,
the case, why even put God in the concept? Why even if you have to say, oh, who created God? And then who created this God? And then who created this God? But none of these God created energy. Energy was always here before God can even exist. So why just not say energy, the force around us, the force you see around us is based off energy, the ability to do work?
yeah. But how do you know that energy that you're describing is not the creator?
Because they're
That's what I'm
basically
saying.
putting a
Like
title. We know
we
what energy is. You know what energy is. You know how energy works. You know it cannot be created or destroyed. So what you're doing is you're taking off that word energy and just placing that with God. But
no, but
that gets into confusion.
I'm basing it on evidence though, because I can see things being created, right? Even the things that we do. Like you go out, maybe you I don't know if you have children or not, but you have the ability to procreate,
That's not
right?
creation.
So
That's
therefore,
biology.
that's not
That's not
creation,
creation. That's biology.
really. Okay, well, I'm not going to argue that point, but
I got a
I
question for you.
see.
If you take a tree, right? You got a question. If you take a tree and build a chair with it, is that creation?
Yeah, that's
No,
creation. You
it
just
is
created a
not.
chair.
No, it is not, brother. Stop.
That's not creation.
They actually do consider it creating because the way it begins is in your mind. So your mind is actually has to collapse the idea and thought and bring it forth into a 3D image, which is in this world. So, like, if somebody does make a chair, it's something that didn't exist before, and it couldn't have existed without a thinking mind. And I think that's what Vinny's getting to, the thinking mind, right? So nobody's going to see a chair and say that just naturally appeared. That was something that obviously had, like you said earlier, work, some energy of work. Somebody had energy and did the work to do that and make it.
Exactly. So it's
Right.
man
That's the
made. Nothing
definition of
can be
creation.
created. What is created in God's terms? Something created out of nothing. So if he could just snap his fingers, it can be ready. He hasn't worried, but it's man made.
I
Everything
don't,
we
I don't
see
know
is
about
made
that.
off
I don't
man
think he
made.
created out of nothing.
Yes, he did.
The reason why is because, like, even in the Bible, like, if we're going from a biblical standpoint, it says he commanded and it was made. Anything commanded requires vibration because a voice or sound, even though it's invisible, sound is pretty much invisible to our senses. We can perceive it through hearing.
but we can't see it with our eyes. But it is you. If you had different eyes, you could see the stuff coming out of my mouth. But see, that's not nothing. That was at least made from vibration. For vibration, you need material.
Yep. And then
Wait, so you're
um,
saying God didn't make the world out of nothing?
No, it appears that he made it out of some type of energy. Like because he said it spoke. He said he spoke and it was created. So some type of effect.
He spoke and it was created. So he said something and it was created.
That's what the Bible says. I think
So
that the
he
Quran
he
would say the
speaks
same thing.
something into existence. That means it wasn't created. It wasn't. He just spoke it to existence. It came true. That means he didn't have to do nothing. No man made. He just spoke it to existence and came true. That's how life would
Well, it's
upon. He
spoken to
just spoke it
exist. This
and
came
came.
true is a little different. That's kind of a little. When you would think of, I mean, just if you think about it, I mean, what is speech? It's
I mean, you're
sound.
saying he spoke it. See, that's what you said. You said he spoke it into existence. That means he said it and then it came true.
Yeah, and everything is sound. Everything we're living around right now is sound.
Can you speak something to existence now,
I
or
walk
whatever you
on
create?
sound. I walk on sound.
But whatever you
That's what
create,
we're on.
whatever you make, it's out of man made right now. Nothing is
He
created
made
out
he
of
made
nothing.
it from a voice, is what it says. I mean, I'm just being, I'm just. I mean, but isn't that true? But what's crazy is it's
No,
true because
brother,
they're
don't do
telling us
that.
that
Don't this.
we're on vibrating
Yo,
molecules.
what is
I
happening?
don't. We're just gonna agree to disagree, brother. That's it. We're just gonna agree.
Okay, well we can, but I mean they got it. Look, they could have said God made it out of something else, but man, they chose a voice. That's crazy if
It
you
is.
think about it. I'm just
Oh, so
saying.
you're agreeing?
Well, I mean crazy in the sense of it's kind of mind blowing to me, like in the way of like amazing
It's
kind of.
amazing
Because
because
now
everything in that,
to me it is
but
amazing
everything
because the
cannot be
more you
created.
learn
You
about
cannot create nothing now.
physics, for example,
You cannot create nothing out of just speaking it. It's
and
some
how
everything.
everything responds to sound. You
Everything
know
you
what I
create
mean?
is man made. Everything you create of now is a man made.
And then it
Some
says God
man
is a
made it
consuming
created.
fire, kind of like, and then so you have electricity, and everything. They say electricity's in everything, right? Whether it's positive or negative, like you said.
did you just say everything created is man made?
It's all faith, man. At the
That's
end of the
all
day,
faith. There you
believing in
go,
God
brother.
takes faith.
There you go.
I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. We ain't got to try to
There
listen.
you go,
Everything we
brother. I've been
believe
waiting
about
for
this
it.
book requires faith, and that's just the
Absolutely.
truth of the matter. And there's
I
nothing wrong with
believe.
that. It is what it
Ah,
is.
thank you, brother. I've been waiting for you to
We're not
say it.
really talking about faith, though. That's
Yeah, it's faith
different.
and
We're
man.
talking
You
about
can't,
yeah, we're talking about what we observe and what we think about what our
but you consider
reality
your
is, like
book the
from
truth,
our
though, right?
experience. That's not faith. Do
You
what?
consider your book being the truth, the God you believe in, and what you
And we're not
consider
even really
true.
even trying to associate with God, just trying to think it out.
Just move it across that. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'm saying, what are we? Okay,
What
so
you saying?
you
What you're
said your
basically
experience.
asking?
Energy
What
is
is the
nor
make?
created nor
You said
destroyed.
okay. Go ahead.
So if energy is nor created nor
It
destroyed,
always been here.
our essential nature is energy, that means we're eternal. I mean, but how can you get away from that in your paradigm?
He said, well, that means we're eternal, bro.
Yeah,
The
because
force
if
we're
if what
around, is
we
it
are
gonna
is,
stop or is it gonna still be here? Everything that you see around, is it gonna stop when you die, or is it gonna still be here?
I say not, it'll still be here. But where will I?
Exactly.
But I won't
Exactly.
go anywhere either because my basic
Is your brain
makeup
dead?
and nature is what you're saying
Is your
is will
brain
always
once the
be here.
brain is dead? Would you switch over?
I have not experienced that part. I've not went
Exactly.
into death yet.
Once the brain, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean personally, I don't see why not.
Stop it. Stop it.
Um, why wouldn't
Stop
I?
it. Stop it. Give me. There's no demonstration, no scientific proof,
But why
no
wouldn't
evidence.
I?
There's no demonstration, no evidence, no scientific claims to prove that a person from brain that has brain dead came back to life. It's literally probably
Yeah, but
the
the
closest to
energy
be is
the
like a
energy
week.
that makes up his consciousness has to go somewhere. It isn't
You got
because
it,
you're
brother. You
brain
got it,
dead
brother.
doesn't mean the energy was
You
destroyed.
got it, brother.
You already said that. You taught me
You
that.
got it, brother. You got it. You got it.
All right. You said it's not created nor destroyed.
I thought I said that, but okay.
Yeah. So if
So
somebody's brain dead, all that means is the energy
the
left that
energy
body.
around you, bro, the energy around you, are they still gonna be here? What's living, what's around you when you die? Is it still gonna be here?
I mean, plenty of people say they were looking outside themselves, but I can't go off their testimony to tell you the truth.
I'm
But they say their consciousness was out of their body.
this is
But,
personal experience.
we
You
can't
can't
really,
go off
yeah,
person. I
right.
don't go off
I
personal
go with you on
experiences.
that one.
I don't
Yeah,
go
I'll
off
go with you.
personal.
But it's down to the energy. You never thought about where the energy goes? You think it just goes back into the atmosphere?
Huh. Sounds perfect to me. But brother, yeah, let's get down. Let's get yeah, let's just agree to disagree. I see a couple brothers are saying what's happening here. Let's move on. So it's all based on faith, and what you consider the truth in your book and what the God you believe in is very subjective. And I have no problem with any religion. If it benefits you to believe in what you believe in and it balances your life and it's perfect to you, go right ahead. But once you come to us saying, hey, this is the truth and this is the truth and this is the right God that you're supposed to follow and everybody else is false, we start to look at you crazy. So appreciate y'all for letting me speak.
Yep. Well, there it is. But yeah. Anyway, you got to get out of that church, man.
Absolute fact. And I was away from my phone for a little while, and I woke up to hear this. I'm like, bro, what in the world is going on in here?
Yeah, that's a trip because we all got energy in us. So when we die, I mean, that energy does have to go somewhere.
Yeah. I was just trying to see people's perspectives outside of religious frames, see how
Hmm.
far they've thought it out, what they're in. But that's the thing, though. I don't think a lot of people think out what they're in. I think they spend too much time consumed by what they're in, you know? So that's why a lot of people, they haven't really thought those deep things so much. I think if they do, they get more so philosophical. Maybe they go into that realm, but
No, we think it. We just don't say God.
right, that's what I mean. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's what
We
I
just
was
don't
trying to
say
figure
it's
out from your
God. That's
paradigm.
it. If we don't understand
Right.
or don't know, we just don't say, hey, we don't understand or we don't know it. So it's God. That's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
But you
mean,
would say that it created though.
like,
Whatever you call it, it did create something.
and like IBL said though, it is a faith discussion. You see, atheists have faith. You see, in the fact that they perceive that the Big Bang is
I
the
knew it
source
was
for
gonna
pretty
come.
much
I knew it
everything
was
that
gonna
exists.
come.
I tried. I tried to keep it fair.
You have more faith in that, you see, than you have into a author, you see, of pretty much organization and design. You know, a universe, that pretty much functions to a degree, something like a watch, as far as gears and things of that nature. In order for us to be able to do things like tell time. So yeah, I mean, you know, I suppose you think your faith is legitimate. You know what I'm saying? So you dig, if you want to hold to your faith, you see what I'm saying? I suppose that's your prerogative.
I mean, at
Yep.
the end of the
It's all
day,
faith
at the
when
end,
we
I mean, it
break it down.
really is. Everything really is faith. I mean, I wasn't there when the quote unquote Big Bang happened, and I wasn't there when God made the world. I wasn't there. All I know is what I believe based on my experiences and my interpretation of facts. Because there are facts that, I mean, like for instance, I gave this example earlier today with Kenny. It's a fact that the sky is blue. That's a fact. But the interpretation of how we get to that fact, people have all kinds of interpretations. Is it the refraction of light off of the ocean? Is it because God made it blue? Is it because there's a God of the sky who's blue? Like, there's all kinds of reasons why people think things. But at the end of the day, we just got facts and then we have our interpretation. Then we just got to move on.
That's a fact. But the same, I'm just gonna say this: the same reasons atheists say with that the average adult, like we say that the average adult doesn't have faith is there because we know there's no tooth fairy. You don't need to faith to not believe in something which you have not seen no convincing evidence. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't need faith to believe in something that has no convincing evidence. Do y'all get where I'm going with that or no?
Not at all. I mean, just because you believe certain things don't exist, don't mean that,
There's no convincing evidence. I
your
can't. I
paradigm.
don't need faith.
Why are you talking while I'm
I go
talking?
ahead, brother. I did cut
Why
you
you
off.
talking?
No, I did cut you off.
I
Go
got a
ahead.
question.
Go ahead, brother. I did cut you off.
Yeah. So, with that being said, regardless to you thinking certain things exist that other people, you know what I mean, may I would say hold to a degree more so out of tradition. Doesn't mean that your paradigm isn't rooted in what you believe or your faith. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way around that. It's just a simple fact of the matter. Your faith is in the Big Bang. You dig? I mean, and that just how the cookie crumbles. But nonetheless, uh,
You know, science
how did
did
we get?
observation and evidence to prove the Big Bang actually correlates out. After all the evidence and observation actually correlates that it actually came, right?
You said science
It's
correlates with
actually
that.
practical evidence or observation that leads to it that can demonstrate that. It came down to you cannot demonstrate your God exists. Can you?
Yeah. Observation leads to that. Okay, so somebody seen the Big Bang.
And
Somebody was
practical
able to
evidence,
observe it.
demonstration that can lead to that. You didn't have to see it, brother. I understand you faith believers. It's okay. Let's just agree to disagree, and I'll listen to the preachers that y'all come with.
You
Yes,
know
I
Yeah,
what
have
the
faith in
funny
the Big
thing
Bang.
about
Yes,
that is?
it's okay. You have faith in God. I have faith in the Big Bang. Okay, cool.
Hey,
Got
yeah,
it.
you know
got it,
what all the observable
got it.
evidence, the funny
No,
thing
I'm just
about
gonna
that
agree with
observable
him. If he says
evidence
I have
is?
faith, I have faith. Okay. Even if I don't
No,
say
no, no, but look.
even if I say we don't have faith, he'll still say we have faith. So it's okay.
No, but look, the
Y'all
funny
are
thing
crazy,
about that
man.
observable evidence is some scientists had to make a scenario up like that for it to be even observed. So that scientists created an environment for that stuff to even happen. That's the funny part about that.
Yeah, ain't it though? I mean, the reality of it is, he's speaking of something observable as far as the Big Bang is concerned. Like that's the biggest load of baloney. You see what I'm saying? And anybody probably brought on this stage in a long time. Ain't nobody observing anything as far as the Big Bang theory, and as far
At
as science
all.
is concerned,
Not
yeah,
naturally.
yeah. And as far as science is concerned, an element of being able to prove something to be true, observation is a fundamental component of that. And so you see that how he says, I don't. It's not a faith thing for me. He's talking about he's talking about something observable as it relates to the Big Bang, and nobody was able to observe that. You did. You see it. You see his faith coming through. You see. Yes,
I know you're probably not a gambling man, buddy, but any atheist you
indeed.
speak to, they will tell you that nobody has faith. We don't believe in faith. Just like I don't need faith to believe in Santa Claus. I don't need faith to believe in the Tooth Fairy. I don't need faith to believe in this. There is no substantial evidence for none of that to be true. So it is not true. It's just that simple.
Well, I mean, I
Right.
don't think that I wouldn't say that's a logical conclusion that it's not true. It's just that at the current moment, there is not enough evidence for you to
ABL.
put or for you to believe in it, if that makes
ABL. If you
sense.
sit on
Now,
Christmas,
wait a
go
second,
ahead, brother. Go
hold on,
ahead.
wait.
Go ahead.
I don't celebrate Christmas, but wait a second, like, because I hear what you're saying, because I understand how they get to the conclusion of quote unquote a Big Bang. Like you have the red shift of galaxies, and when they look at the expansion of how the observable light is like widening out. That's what how they quote unquote base that the universe is expanding. For instance, that's just an example. Like the red shift of galaxies is an example that they would use as they look back at the observable universe through telescopes that we have and through all their gadgets that they use in order to look at these things, right? So at the current moment, that's
Would
an
you consider that
evidence.
faith? What you just said,
Brother, you gotta let me finish because the truth of the matter is they were not there when they believed that the whole universe was very very hot and then like expanded rapidly. They weren't there for that. So what they're doing is they're looking back and they're looking for quote unquote evidences to come to a conclusion based on a hypothesis that they have. So at the end of the day, once again, brother, the very first thing I said is we don't know anything. It's all based off of evidences that we have collected and in our interpretation of quote unquote facts. That's it.
brother?
And we
What I
have
just said
faith.
was
Wait, brother,
not to
faith,
deflect my
faith.
points.
Wait a second. Faith is simple. Faith is based off of your evidences.
What?
Faith is something. Yes, brother. I'm trying
I'm
to tell you
done.
the biblical definition of faith. I
Biblical.
mean, you don't have to
Good
believe.
day.
Yes, the biblical definition of faith is something. Oh, he's gone. Okay, well, there you go. I'm done.
Somebody probably said.
Yeah. Hey man, I love how he bounced out when he said the biblical. He said biblical. He bounced out, man. What's going
Yeah,
on?
he was contradicting himself all over the place, talking about energy doesn't die. You can't destroy it, but then when somebody dies, their energy is not around. It's like, well, come on, man.
Hey, I like to
You
hear
doing
it,
the
man.
most right now.
I like to hear what they got outside of that box. Yeah, he was out of it.
Ain't that funny how they always refer to the evidence being that scientists in a lab create a Big Bang
Right?
ev- some situation in the lab. It's like somebody they created that. It's just crazy, man.
I'm talking about observable evidence of the Big Bang. Is crazy. Bro, what in the world is you talking about, champ?
I mean, especially since they say it was like 13.5 or whatever million years ago. I mean, absurd.
Bruh, come on, man. See, it's not fake. And then that's when you really get triggered. That's when the brother get to a point to where I'm uncomfortable, so I got to get the filibustering and all
I
that.
love how they believe that too
Because
off rip. Like somebody will say, "Hey, energy's not created or destroyed," and they're like, "That's right." Like,
right,
bro, have you proven that energy's not created or destroyed?
right,
You know,
and
I
then
mean,
and
see,
then
that this whole thing predicated on faith, like y'all was saying. But
yeah,
I would say
and then
belief, mere belief.
when you apply it to yourself, oh no, 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 no.
That's a trip, ain't it?
Yeah, you yeah, man. I mean, like, it's just look at it, fam. Like when you talk about the definition of faith, uh, we're just talking about belief in something, to a degree. That's what they generally understand.
That's
People generally
debatable.
understand faith to be.
Right.
Now there could
He
be more stuff. Uh,
You have all these ecosystems, you have all these things that are clearly designed, clearly in order. That's why we call them systems. And you're going to say there was no energy, there was no energy,
Right.
nor consciousness, no thinking behind it. That's the crazy
That's
part. There was
madness.
plenty of thinking behind it, even if it was just the freaking cells. But they're thinking, what the hell are they? They were conscious of what they were making. So it gets beyond me with people.
yeah, I mean, 'cause if nobody was able to see the Big Bang or observe it, that's what a person believes. You believe the Big Bang, brother. You did. Like
That's a
if
fact.
yeah, you feel me? Like at the end of the day, I don't understand why we get to playing these games. Because if it's not directly observable, it can't be fully understood. So that's pretty much common ground for comparing like a religious faith to a certain degree and a scientific belief. You feel me? Like complexity and indirect evidence, has to be in question. At the end of the day, like when we do things like point out the fact that the Big Bang theory and many scientific theories that would have you is based on complex evidence, right? And interpretations that are not directly observable by the average person, right? So this relies on interpretations of scientific data, you know, by experts in the field. So people that believe that, you dig, your pastor is an expert in science, the scientific field. Ain't no way around it, fam.
Yeah, I think you and IBL explained it best, man. I mean, the evidence is put out there. We believe the evidence that we believe. You believe the evidence that you believe. But it's all belief. When it all comes down to it.